welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews podcast number 16. I'm Gary.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Dave.
No Ian with us today. Ian is in the workshop. He's downloading the latest software update, or he's on Wikipedia or something. He's unavailable today, so...
I can't wait to read the protests in the comments.
Yeah, I know. He's missing his first podcast, so apologise. But yeah, no Ian today.
Well, if we all, get out of the way talking about Dead Rising and...
Oh, has anyone watched Hawaii 5-0?
Oh, wow!
So we can just draw a line under that now.
Sweet! No, why did you have to bring it up?
Start again.
So in this podcast, we're going to be talking about recent films and games that we've been playing and watching. We're going to talk about some film news, some game news. The main theme of this podcast is going to be on comic books or graphic novels.
Yeah.
And of course, in the final part of the podcast, we'll be answering your questions. So I've got last podcast, which I had to miss because I had to work. And this podcast, so it's 2 months worth of stuff to catch up on. Thankfully, you guys have also seen some of the stuff that I've watched. Now, before I get into that, I have got one piece of really exciting news that I just shared with Ian earlier, and I want to share with everybody else because it's always exciting when you kind of affect someone or talk about someone's work, like me and Ian review films, and have someone who was a part of that film mention us. And the composer for the Killer Clowns from Outer Space film soundtrack just commented on our review saying, great review.
Oh, that's fucking sweet,
which is
man.
really sweet. It's amazing. It's not the first time it's happened. We've had a couple of game developers say thank you for your comments, and a couple of other smaller actors or film directors comment on some of the videos. But it's just always nice. It's like, wow, we didn't slag you off or anything. We kind of praised you, and yeah,
Phew.
yeah, didn't upset anybody. But yeah, it's a great honour to have him comment on the video.
That's
so
sweet,
yeah,
man.
That's really cool. So, recently been playing. I'm still playing Vermintide 2. Recently did a Gaming Friday on that one.
Oh, how is it?
It's really good. It's. I mean, I dipped my foot into the Warhammer world for quite a while. Warhammer Quest, Necromunda, Space Hulk, particularly was my absolute favourite.
Yeah.
So I was really excited for the Deathwing, first-person Left 4 Dead style Space Hulk.
Yeah.
But I was just looking at it, I was like, it's just not quite right. It doesn't have the feel of Left 4 Dead.
Jeff
does.
is playing it, right?
He does,
so I played it with Jeff for a little bit, but it was unfinished. And I was like, there's potential, but...
But it just lacked the polish. But
being a big 40k nerd as well, I've got a pretty high standard. So
yes, yeah, I dabbled in. I think it was in the Titan Wars. I remember using great big Titans against orcs, but I only dabbled into it for a while. Painted up the whole army, played it once, and was like, yeah, I'm done. Nice. I'm going to go back to the RPG type Warhammer games, which I preferred. So Vermintide 2, the Warhammer aspect of it, no appeal to me whatsoever. It didn't make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
The gameplay, the graphics, the co-op nature of it is just perfect. For me, it's so replayable. I mean, I've got my friend Nella who's been on a couple of Gaming Fridays. He said when I last spoke to him, it's a sort of game that he can play for an hour, but he has to go play something else. There's not enough there to just spend 8 hours playing it, which I have done in 2 sittings. And when I'm finished, I'm like, my eye is twitching.
Are you playing this on the Xbox?
I'm playing this on PC. It's not actually out on console yet.
That's it, because I've played the first one, but that came out I think that came out on a Games with Gold, didn't it?
Eventually, I think it did, yeah.
That's where I started playing it, because it kept free Warhammer. Oh, yeah, okay.
For sure,
yeah. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and the price tag that it is, it's like £25.
It's good.
Or under. And so it's a really good price tag for the replayability you get out of it. Of course.
Games are cheaper now, though, man.
Yeah.
I find.
Yeah.
So how much is it, Left 4 Dead? Sorry, I've not seen anything to do with it.
Exactly Left 4 Dead.
Exactly
the only thing is it's more than, because each of the characters levels up, gains XP, you get an overall power meter. That power meter affects how much damage you do, how much you can stagger, affects pretty much everything, but you also have primary weapon, secondary weapon, and 4 trinkets, like rings, necklaces, charms, and all of those have different abilities like attack speed, block, stamina, and each of those had different tiers of, colour, of rarity and effectiveness. And so there's a lot of changing around. There's also 5 characters with 3 subclasses.
They know what they're doing, don't they?
So
their world. Don't they?
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting as well because Games Workshop recently pulled back all their IP.
Okay.
They went out and got back all of their IP so they could control it in-house.
Right.
So, like, everything they had out by Fantasy Flight Games and everything like that, they pulled it back. So, they're doing this out on their own volition now, which is, I think, why
That's quite
you're starting to
brave,
see...
but
It's
that's
very
good.
brave, but it has paid off because they've started releasing, a lot of new, exciting products. And playing Vermintide, for me, I was like... playing the game, I was like, yeah, it's just like Left 4 Dead. This is cool, but like you said, I agree that it's like, yeah, I'll play about an hour of it, do one mission, and then I'll go off and do something else, but... I was just impressed by like, dude, this is Warhammer. This is how I imagine the old world, because that doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah. The level design in architecture and detail and the artwork. That's one of the things I always loved about Warhammer was the artwork in those books. I mean, those books were just spectacular. And so just seeing it a living, breathing world is they've done a really good job. Still playing Divinity 2. I'm not playing this campaign. I'm still playing the DM mode. And also playing Monster Hunter. Taking a small break from Monster Hunter, but there's a new free DLC coming out for it this week, I believe, or by the time this podcast goes out, it's already out, which is a new monster to hunt, new weapons and new armor sets to build, and a new event. There's like a weekly event in the game anyway, but it's more stuff for free, and they're going to keep adding more stuff for free. So
love it.
That's cool.
Yeah, well, I'll probably keep playing Monster Hunter probably throughout the year. Probably keep dipping back into it. So, let's get to the films. Now, this is a film that we have been asked, and even in this podcast, the questions are in there to ask us to talk about, and when will we review Hellraiser Judgment? So, it came out on Valentine's Day, but I think I had to wait like 2 days or something afterwards because of work or other stuff. I was like, I'm going to watch this. Because I've reviewed the other 9 films, and I'm a big fan of Hellraiser. It's like one of my favourite horror films. So, going into this, I knew it was director Gary J. Tunnicliffe, who had been there since Hellraiser 2 or 3 as the makeup supervisor for Doug Bradley, doing the makeup for him for like all the films. And then he wrote the script for Revelations and didn't direct that one, I don't believe. And obviously he wanted Doug Bradley back, and Doug Bradley was like, this script is garbage, plus your payment offer is like worse than anything I've ever...
Him.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's insulting.
Took you to Dick Kick City.
So he walked away from it, and Revelations was as it is. And so instead of taking a script and then going, okay, let's make this into a Hellraiser script, he went away and wrote a Hellraiser script, which is the first time it's been done in, 20 years. And that goes a long way. Actually, it only goes so far. Really, but it's different. It feels like a made for TV. The budget.
It looks like a made for TV.
It looks like it was made for TV. It looks horrible. It looks ugly. But I wanted to be invested in perhaps the mythos of the Hellraiser world and maybe get some more. And it does go there. And then you question, did you really need it to or want it to? Because it wasn't exactly what you really wanted. I'm trying not to spoil the film. But what I can say is it is a marked improvement on Revelations. And that's because the bar was so fucking low. The bar was on the floor. Okay? So even if you kicked it, it would have been a marked improvement.
See, after, like I said, I've only seen the first 3, so when this came out, I was really excited to watch it. Like, I texted you actually, didn't I?
Yeah.
Like, dude, I just watched Hellraiser. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Even I just told you I was so hungover when I watched it as well, which I don't recommend because it's visceral. It is quite, as much as the budget, it is pretty. It's pretty fucking.
Within the first 10 minutes, a character is invited to an abandoned location, and he meets this offensively ugly looking guy
Auditor, I guess, is like,
who writes down all of his sins and then eats them.
Well, it's passed on, isn't it? It's written down by the first character, and then it's moved to it's a very clerical administration
process of collecting this person's sins.
There's a process map to this.
But he eats them, and then he vomits them out into a funnel, which goes through this system, which is then ejected into 3 female...
Faceless,
breasts out Cenobites that then consume this vomit. And if you're particularly hungover or feeling ill or faint at this time, it is pretty gruesome.
Oh, sweating.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Sweating watching it.
I was just like, but this is disgusting for disgusting's sake. Like, I was like, but then again, the other Hellraiser films, the second one, the first two in particular, were graphic.
But I think the kind of like, and the reason they're doing it, and because again, I don't want to spoil it, but like the payoff and the reason behind it, once you get through what they've done and why, you're kind of like, and then again, the process happens later in the movie, and there's a kind of different result, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, I see where you're going with it. At least that justifies that opening horrificness, I guess. But
yeah.
I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the movie.
I actually did enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
As someone who has suffered through many different horror series that have all gone off the deep end, jumped the shark, you know?
You're the abused wife that's like, sometimes he brings me flowers.
I'm waiting for Child's Play 7 or 8. I'm waiting for Critters 9. You know, give me more Freddy and Jason. Hell, give me more Halloween. I'll keep watching them. They're all getting really, you know, the quality goes, but we keep coming back as horror fans.
I'm still going to watch the sequel to Justice League.
Right. Is it going to get one? That's a big question.
Well,
is it all practical effects in the new one?
I'm going to say most seems like it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the guy who directed it is Gary J. Tuncliffe. Is special effects, practical effects since the Hellraiser 2 or 3 onwards. So he definitely would stay practical.
I think they had the budget for a lot of CGI, dude, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a Seven vibe going on it as well, I think, because there's like, again, without spoiling anything, there's like a detective story going on within it as well.
It's not the first time Hellraiser has had detectives in the story, but yeah, it's...
But I will agree that as well, is this didn't feel like where Cloverfield Paradox was like, oh, you just slapped Cloverfield over the top of a generic sci-fi movie.
Which is what the previous Hellraiser films had done, exactly.
And this felt like, someone really did go and try and present their vision of a Hellraiser movie. So this is very much...
Now, it also leaves itself open for a continuation.
Boy, does
which, you know, I know Miramax are not going to want to relinquish the rights of Hellraiser, so it's going to get one. Like, you know it's going to keep going. They're not ever going to let the rights go.
And we're going to watch it.
Yes, yeah. That's I can't visually express the slow realization I just had.
The only problem is now the bar is
but I will get excited
the bar
again.
Just went up to notch 1 though, so there is a way down now.
Oh, it can get worse again. Yes, dropped it again. So yeah, let's move on to Cloverfield Paradox. Now, big fan of.
That a lot.
Sorry, Dave. We'll talk about some real shitty movies, but let's talk about some good ones first. Cloverfield, when it came out, everyone was interested to see what it was about. You know, the Statue of Liberty being destroyed. The film came out. It was riding the craze of, or did it even set the craze back again for found footage films?
Very early in it.
It was the very at the start of it. So
I think it might have been the first one I really watched that I went, oh,
since
this is
Blair
good.
Witch. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, and then of course we had George Romero's Diary of the Dead and so many other found footage films. Yeah, I mean the found footage thing has not gone away yet. There's still odd films coming out.
Which didn't reimagined.
So Cloverfield, fantastic monster, very interesting. Not very interesting characters, but the setting and everything else was really good. Second film took away all the special effects and went really interesting characters. Really dark story.
You put John Goodman on the screen for 90 minutes and make him talk, I'm going to be involved.
Yeah.
I was like, this is why I loved Red State,
Yes, because he's captivating. He holds your attention the whole film. And
totally.
Are you going to watch the Roseanne reboot that's coming up? It's not even a reboot, it's a sort of ignore him dying in the last series and
carry on
back again.
The fuck? What, they're actually bringing back the characters?
Roseanne.
So they're just going to reset the clock a bit and...
Yeah, it's just all the whole family. They got everybody back again.
Do you know what?
That's really weird.
You know why that is? That's because of the fact that Johnny, what's his name, Big Bang Theory, who played Darla's boyfriend. Is it,
I don't know Big Bang Theory. I didn't like it.
His daughter. Because she's in it as well, isn't she? Yeah, her. Maybe that's why. But no, I'll watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give that a go. I used to love Roseanne.
Yeah, you know, it was a guilty pleasure, actually. I used to watch some of that.
Jesus Christ. Wait, her sister's in Big Bang Theory as well. Wait, all the cast of Roseanne, bar Roseanne, I think are in Big Bang Theory.
Maybe that's how they got them all back together somehow.
It's like, well, you're here on set
Chinese
anyway.
Whispers, yeah. in film news, there's a show that Nathan Fillion's attached to, and he's coming back in that show as Malcolm Reynolds for 2 episodes or something. And somebody was tweeting that within that universe, he's playing Nathan Fillion, who in that universe, Firefly gets a season 2, and he's playing that role in that universe of that TV series. And it's like, what? What? I might need to watch this series to just...
Well, I mean, you've got my attention. Oh, yeah.
Nathan Fillion's tweeted out the tweets. He's in his uniform. He's in his Firefly outfit. So
then naturally the internet exploded.
Exactly. Like, I only found out this news today. I'm like, holy shit. How much do I miss that show? It's like been 15 years or more.
And we're still angry.
I'm still angry. I'm never going to let that go. But now Disney owns it if they own Fox. So who knows?
Well, I diverted us there. Sorry, man.
So 10 Cloverfield Lane was fantastic.
It was fantastic.
The third film, Cloverfield Paradox, came out of nowhere because...
The way they revealed that was really clever. Like
it was the Super Bowl
advert.
That's right.
It's like, it's out tonight.
It's out right now on Netflix. You're stuck here watching the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the Super Bowl was probably better if you rushed home to watch it. Like,
I should have stayed at that game.
Yeah. As I was watching the film, the bar just kept, again, talking about this bar, I just kept dropping it as the film was going. I was like, it's not going to get better.
Agreed.
It's not going to get better. It got to the halfway point and I was like, do I want to keep watching this? This is poor man's Event Horizon, and the sci-fi-ness to it was just tame. And the characters, they were comical.
Do you remember what I texted you?
You did, yeah. Yeah.
This is like Danny McBride wrote Event Horizon.
Yes. Yeah. It's exactly how you would have imagined it. Yeah. And it's just goofy and nonsensical.
See, I ruined it for myself. I read the review the morning after and read that it wasn't a Cloverfield film. So when I watched it the next day, I watched it knowing that, and the parts that were not originally in this film stick out like a sore thumb.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It was when I realised they were on the same set. They'd walk down a corridor and they'd loop round and basically walk back around the same corner.
Yeah, it was like watching season 1 of Red Dwarf.
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
That's
but I didn't expect to see that.
Packet
2018.
Red. Yeah.
Right. And
well, I suppose at least spoilers. It had the Cloverfield monster in it.
For less than a second at the very end.
And
more than 2.
This is true. And
it seems to have grown 1,000 times the size.
Or the clouds were very
the thing
low,
is that I guess the film
Yeah.
does answer the question, and it's like, because of this paradox, this thing that happens in this film, all of the multiverse of the Cloverfield has been established.
Yeah.
So it's infinite possibilities
all
of
three
what
of
they
these
can do.
movies are set in a different reality.
All in different realities, which
everyone
are somehow
had a problem
connected.
with.
Yes.
A lot of people are like, well, this is happening at the same time. And I'm like, no, in Cloverfield, do you remember them talk about an energy crisis and how they set people's face? No, it's because it didn't fucking happen. Because it's 3 different realities.
Exactly,
but
but they're all connected because of this
they've had
film.
such a mad time understanding the basic principle of it, online.
It's like, because the character from 10 Cloverfield Lane that John Goodman plays is in Cloverfield Paradox. It's one of the people saying you shouldn't be messing with this. This is going to destroy reality. But it's not John Goodman.
No,
but
exactly.
It's like, so yeah.
And didn't the woman who was in it? She played a newsreader, I think.
I'm not sure. I mean, there's loads of theories on YouTube that are great to watch, actually, if you just want to get lost in the Cloverfield kind of universe. But there is a 4th film due out this year as well, which is the theatrical release.
But who knows when?
But yeah, it's just going to appear.
During the hockey finals.
Yeah, right.
But I really liked Chris O'Dowd's character. I mean, I guess he kind of didn't really fit with the rest of them. He was the guy who lost his arm.
Yeah, right. And that whole scene is kind of like, oh, this is why we like Chris O'Dowd. He's really funny,
And it was cool to see Zhang Ziyi pop up again, because she's been vacant from Hollywood for quite a long time.
Yeah, she was good. Her and the main actress, were actually pretty good. It was only that the main actress actually had a backstory, which it was annoying cutting to the other half. It was just like her husband or whatever.
Yeah, the original story was clearly completely focused on that whole dichotomy
him
of
and
her
the decision that she has to make.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what the original movie was clearly about. And they just kept you that little slice in it.
So let's move on to a good film. If not, perhaps for me, the best film so far of 2018.
Jumanji.
And that is... No, it's not Jumanji. 3 Billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri.
I'm so glad you said that and didn't say Shape of Water.
Okay.
Which I did enjoy.
Yes.
But I feel that it got robbed for that Oscar.
Yes, I think 3 Billboards was robbed. I've gone on record and said I love Guillermo del Toro.
Yep.
I love Hellboy, Blade 2. The Shape of Water. Also,
I really enjoyed it. It's a great film.
I absolutely love as well. I really loved the Strain, the TV series, the vampire one. You know, I'll watch almost anything that this guy touches, like whether it's a video game that he's involved in, a film, a graphic novel, a book. Like, I love this guy's mind, the way it works.
Absolutely.
His artistic creations, I love it. But yeah, Three Billboards was directed by Martin McDonagh, who was the director for In Bruges.
Mm-hmm.
And he also wrote the film. It stars Frances McDormand, Woody Harrelson, and personal favourite, slightly biased, Sam Rockwell.
What a legend.
And, you know, going into the film, I'd never seen the trailer. I had no idea what the film was about. Everyone kept saying, Gary, I know you'll like this film. And I went into it, and obviously Sam Rockwell was the biggest, I'm going to say it, he's one of the biggest cunts I've seen in film in a long time. And he's a character that you just want to reach in and punch in the face.
Well,
I'm like, he's a really good actor.
Yeah, exactly.
well, is he worse or is his mum worse?
No, that's the thing. That's the thing.
Does he not take you on an emotional roller coaster on that movie?
Yes. Now, it's one of those films that it makes you, when you're watching it, question yourself.
Absolutely.
Like, your motivations, your feelings, and then as the film layers extra things for you, it's a deeply sort of emotional journey.
And what a dark
that you go through
with
like three characters.
Yeah.
There's three billboards. There's three characters that you really follow.
I will say as well, like, Sam Rockwell, I'm watching it going like, God, I forgot how good this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Frances McDormand, again, she's fantastic.
She's a legend,
she just plays the part to a T. But Woody Harrelson in that movie,
yes.
that might be my favourite Woody Harrelson performance of all time. Because I thought
I love
he
him
was
too. And
standout in that movie and stellar.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. He was
so good.
I mean,
the
characters feel like real people. All the characters felt like real people, and it's like you hope that there are some people like that in the world, because Woody Harrelson you just love him more for the character he played in that film.
It took me about halfway through the movie, of about 3 or 4 scenes of her ex-husband being on screen, and I'm like, where do I know this guy from? And it took me a long time to work out that was Benny from Benny's World of Booze in Dust Till Dawn.
Really?
That was
yeah.
And it was like, I think I was watching the movie and it was like all quiet and I'm watching it. And I was like, Dust Till Dawn! And Don was like, what? And I'm like, nothing. Sorry. Like,
yeah. Three Billboards is just nothing else has come close to it. Well, actually, it did come close. The Shape of Water.
Yeah.
Now, everyone was going, it's that film with the woman where she sleeps with a fish. It's like,
she fucks Abe Sapien.
yeah. And it was like, it's probably because they had that Abe Sapien suit left over that they're not using anymore. I'm like, well, maybe, but it actually does work.
It does,
it's a fairy tale story again.
Is, yeah.
And
Donna did say though, when's Hellboy rocking up in this? And I'm like, he'll totally save him at the end. Don't worry.
No, it's one of those films that's going to challenge you right from the get go, where your lead protagonist, female character, jumps into a bathtub and masturbates. It's opening sequence.
Oh yeah. And totally spun me out.
Yeah. For many people, I can imagine it would. And so for that film to win Best Picture, okay, in another universe, it went to Three Billboards, so whatever. Oscar ratings are dropping anyway. Their meaning is it's as relevant as to what your personal favourite. Does it actually mean anything? It's still just something that goes on the DVD cover.
Did you see that on the internet? It was someone posted a picture of Michael Shannon in a bar during the Oscars, watching The Shape of Water with no sound in the bar, just having a drink at the bar while the Oscars were while his film was winning the Oscar.
He was great in that movie, wasn't he?
He made me wince so bad.
But his character reminded me of his performance in Boardwalk Empire when he plays the Prohibition agent.
Yeah,
it was very government. I mean, it's a very similar role, I guess.
Yeah,
so not Zod then.
Sorry,
so not Zod.
Yeah. Not Zod, but yeah. I mean, I like Michael Shannon as well. He's a complex actor. Is just watching
a lot going on in his face.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And the sequence with the fingers is all I'm going to say.
Oh yeah,
the sequence with the fingers.
That was bad.
I watched a good film with him. Was it The Iceman? Basically, it's based on true events. Like, he was a hitman, basically, for the mob.
Okay.
I think it was called The Iceman.
Was he play the lead in it?
Yeah, and it was really good.
My favourite Michael Shannon film, I can't remember what it was called, but it was the one where he predicts pretty much like the end of the world is coming, and so he starts building a fallout shelter, like a new Noah's Ark, but underground.
Take Shelter?
And he's Take Shelter. And he's convincing people, he's like, the end of the world is coming, I've seen it, like, we're going to die. it's sort of the time that he thinks it's going to
I've
happen.
seen it, Cal.
Comes and goes, and everyone's like, "You're a fucking lunatic." And I won't actually spoil what does happen at the end of the film, but the film keeps going. And so, but yeah, just a great acting performance.
The lead, I don't know the name of her, it's terrible, but the lead, what was really funny, the lead female, is, as I started watching it, me and my wife were watching it, and straight away, like you said, I'm like, oh, okay, she's just going to do full frontal and start, like, playing with herself in the bathtub. And Donna just went, she was the mum in Paddington.
Oh dear.
Yeah, Sally Hawkins.
Really?
Now, there is one sad thing that I have to say, because obviously working in a cinema, I can sort of say and report back on what films over here in the UK are being dropped. Being one of the biggest in the chain of cinemas that I am in the country, The Shape of Water was pulled out of cinemas about 2 weeks up into the Oscars. We've just dropped it, whereas the Three Billboards have still been going strong. People are still, and it's still in cinemas now. Shape of Water was pulled, and it won Best Film, and the cinema wasn't even getting it back.
What's the reason for that then?
No sales. No one came to see it.
Isn't that...
Shape of Water is back in the cinema because it's won Best Picture, and
right, of course.
only a few people now have come to see it because it's won Best Picture. They've gone, oh, it's won Best Picture. Let's go watch that.
Isn't
and
that
thankfully, it's now back in the cinema again.
Isn't that the Del Toro curse though? Isn't like
could
all his
be.
films that never should perform the way everybody thinks they should?
Yeah, it's a real shame. It's because there's films in the cinema right now like Black Panther and other Marvel or superhero films or big actiony films that just dominate the box office right now. So something like that's Oscar worthy is the general masses are not seeing those films in the cinema anymore, and that is quite sad.
What were the other?
But then again, like I said, Three Billboards is doing very well in cinema.
Yeah, good. What were the other Oscar films that you've been watching or enjoyed?
The Darkest Hour.
I've not watched that
Now,
yet.
as soon as I saw the trailer for that, I was like, wow, that looks really good. I can't believe they got someone who looks like...
Winston Churchill?
Yeah, sorry. I'll keep my brain's going, Gary Oldman. And that's because after watching the trailer, I didn't know it was Gary Oldman until the names came up at the end. I was like, Gary Oldman's in it. Oh, brilliant. I wonder who he's playing. Oh, shit, he's Winston Churchill. And... my brother was like, hey Gary, can I get some tickets? I'm going on a date. I'm going to go take her to watch Darkest Hour. And I burst out laughing. And I was like, why? I was like, that's not a date movie. Bro, don't take her to see that. He was like, why not? I was like, well, for one, everyone else that's in that screening is going to be above the age of 60.
Yeah, right.
And you'll be in there with your young girlfriend. I was like, don't do it. But he went and did it anyway. Because he was like, I love Gary Oldman films. So I'm like, well, yeah, if you're a big fan of Gary Oldman, you have to watch it because he's a chameleon. And he is amazing as Winston Churchill. Over the course, I think the film takes place over like 2-week period. And I found out stuff that I didn't know about Winston Churchill watching that film. And it is over the events of Dunkirk. So basically, after having Dunkirk last year, watching the events over the channel as
it's almost like a funny sequel, isn't it? Like
in a way, yes. Yeah. Whereas this does
Very
feel
timely.
like a film, not like a war documentary like I felt Dunkirk actually was.
I'm sure Gary Oldman will play Toad-faced Nigel Farage in the next film.
Well, with the
Chameleon
makeup...
as he is.
Oh, shivers just went up my spine.
Right, so let's talk about something goofy that I did watch. Now, I was in the mood for a brain dead moment, and I wanted a nostalgia button to be pressed. Now, when this first came out on TV, it was, again, talking about my brother, he was the one watching it, and I came in watching it and going, this is stupid. And it was Power Rangers. I was like, what are you watching? This is stupid. I'm going to go next door and watch Guyver, Dark Hero.
Wait, sample of your own argument there.
Yes, exactly, I know. And that was when I was like, this is the same. But this one's got monsters. No, it's the same.
Yeah.
And then I started watching Power Rangers. Well, I wouldn't admit it. But when my brother was watching, I'd be like, oh, okay. You have to watch Power Rangers.
Yeah, but I think I'm a year younger than you, so I think I was right in the right demographic for Power Rangers when it came out.
Yeah. So I decided I'm going to watch the Power Rangers movie.
The original.
The new one.
Oh,
one
shit.
with Bryan Cranston.
Ah.
Yeah. Oh. That was a bad idea. That was a really bad idea.
That was not a good movie.
I didn't get anything that I wanted from it. It was stupid. It was.
They even managed to fuck up the Toy Story moment.
Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, spoilers. Like, near the end, when the Zord is, like, being pushed out into the thing, and it's like, no, we've got to hold it, and stuff. I'm like, oh, shit, okay, yeah, this is, like, the one first glimmer of a decent part of the movie, and, because these are children, really, the teenagers, played by 30-year-old actors, but, they're, like, fucking teenagers, and they're holding back, like, the fucking thing
I can't remember any of it. I can only remember the first few minutes when Bryan Cranston's there.
Well, they, like, fall in, and then they just miraculously jump back out and win again, and I'm like, oh, probably should have just done that first.
Yeah.
But it was they're falling back in this lava, and I'm like, how Toy Story is this? Because they were all fucking holding hands in the command center of it. Like, maybe you want to watch Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
Way better movie.
Other film that I caught, Disaster Artist.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
James Franco. Now, you've seen The Room? Both of you seen The Room?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
no, I've
haven't seen
never
The Room?
seen it.
Wow.
I've seen pretty much most of it through here and there, and videos about it, and I don't think there's much I haven't actually seen from the film.
You've probably seen the most important clips, haven't you? Really?
Oh yeah, like all the major lines.
Every scene with Tommy Wiseau.
the thing is, it's okay catching those 5-minute clips of the film, but do it for the whole 2 hours. And it's a totally different experience because
an endurance trial. Isn't it?
It is an endurance
That's
trial for an
out.
academic or a film fanatic or lovers of film. In any way, watching it, you're just it's like a war. It's a war, of battle of attrition.
It's
like which one of you's going to win?
Say, I don't know, 50 scenes of a movie, taped it together, threw it in the air, and went, "That's a film."
But but then seeing the story. I mean, I don't know how much of there's the reality behind Tommy Wiseau with James Franco's. I don't know how much information he actually garnered because no one knows jack shit about this guy.
No.
Not really. But so it's only come from interviews with the people that were in the film and those actors and the experiences. But it's a fascinating film. As someone who loves film, just to watch documentary or an interpretation, Disaster Artist was great.
Fuck, it was funny as well.
It was really funny.
Oh my god, when he's doing that scene on the rooftop where he comes out the door and everything.
Yeah.
What's the line?
Yeah. Oh my god. I was crying with laughter. Seth Rogen was really good in it as well.
Yeah.
I thought he was really. Obviously, I know that they all cast themselves together, don't they? But
Of
he
course.
was actually really good in it.
And Dave Franco. I really like Dave Franco.
Totally. But I liked it at the end where they show the scenes that they filmed and recreated. Split screen with the original,
side by side.
Man, they nailed this.
Yeah, and how good did he personify with Tommy Wiseau?
Did you see the after credit scene as well?
Only bits of it. No.
Yeah, he comes up to him in a party, isn't it?
Yeah. It's actually Tommy Wiseau is in it. Comes up to James Franco as Tommy, and they have a little exchange.
Oh, I missed that bit.
Very bizarre.
Why are you talking like that? So it's just really funny. I don't know. Get out of my party. It's just funny as fuck. But did you see? He released a video the other day of him as the Joker.
Oh, no, brilliant. Somebody just told me to go and watch that. But it's an audition, I believe. Tommy was auditioning for the Joker.
And then
I think he did it to send to whoever. I think is it Leo playing?
Yeah,
the Joker.
Yeah,
I think he did it to send as like.
Here's
advice,
how you do it.
Like,
this is how you should play it.
Yeah. Bizarre.
And then the name of the other guy, sorry, it escapes me. His buddy in it, obviously. Like He turns up at the end of the video with a Batman mask.
Doing a terrible.
Where's the trigger? Loved it.
A film that was Downsizing. Now,
I haven't watched that yet.
It was a concept film that, after the concept of the film had been established after 30 minutes, it's not really about downsizing anymore.
Yeah, because I watched the trailer for this, and
the whole trailer sells you on the idea
it's like, and we're going to, miniaturize, and like, you can save on this, save on that, it'd be good for the planet. And then it didn't show any, like, the conflict or any sort of narrative from that point on. So
exactly.
Like,
it was a concept film. And so I was like, the concept, I think is really quite cool. I've loved the idea of giants. And the Land of Giants, the old TV series, used to love that.
The cat.
And so, the giant cat, yeah.
Always remember that.
And I always remember the giant mushrooms that poisoned them.
Oh.
Sorry. And so, yeah, downsizing, I was like, okay, this is a great idea. And so the concept is, some scientists developed downsizing as a way to save the planet so that we can all miniaturize ourselves so that we won't use up half as much resources as we're currently using.
All our biscuits will be huge.
But the thing is, it's like also when you take you sell all your assets, your house, your car, your mortgage, everything, get all that money, and when you turn that into downsizing, basically you can buy a fucking 100-room mansion with just a few $1,000s because it's worth that much when it's that small of the property that you're buying. And so it's like, lots of people are doing it to become billionaires in this microverse, essentially. But then, but it's a character study of Matt Damon more than it is about downsizing, because small spoilers for the film, him and his wife decided they're going to do this together and go through the whole process. When he wakes up downsized, gets a phone call from his wife who's on the other side going, I'm going home, I couldn't do it, bye! There's no reverse procedure.
Oh, shit.
So that's it. Relationship over, on your own, microversed in this world. Now off you go meet new people, and that's it. Now everything's small, so it doesn't matter anymore. It might as well just be the real world again, because being small, everything's relative again now. So the next hour and a half is following what the effect it's had on this character and the mistakes he keeps making that he made before he downsized, while he continues to spiral into these mistakes in his downsized life. And so on that angle, I was like, okay, actually, I quite enjoy this. It's a shame that it's kind of a mishmash of two parts and it didn't quite meet the mark enough for it to be as appealing as perhaps it could have been, despite the star cast as well. But I wouldn't pass on it.
Is it
Christoph Waltz? Yeah.
We love him.
He's basically he's a crime lord in the microverse because there's not enough people to facilitate checking all of the smuggling, and because the quantities that he needs in the real world is micro in his world, he's just
do they have like
a kingpin?
Do they have like a micro police force or like
kind
military?
of, but it's not that enforced because it's peace and love. No one's gone to war.
To
it's
be
completely
fair,
safe.
I did one quick holiday to Holland and came back, and everyone's going to be totally happy with me when I shrink down. When I shrink down, but don't shrink down what I brought, life's going to be great.
Yeah. And so, speaking of another film that I thought would have done better than it actually did, it actually came out a lot later last year, and it only came out early this year for us in the UK, and that was Coco, Pixar's latest offering, which is about an aspiring musician named Miguel who's confronted with his family's ancestral ban on music. And so he enters the land of the dead to find his great-great-grandfather, who's a legendary singer, to basically prove to his family that music is okay.
Yeah, I watched this ages ago with the kid, and she loved it, but it really did go. It did not take off like a lot of these Pixar movies would normally.
Yes,
yeah.
It was. I was enthralled with it, but then again,
wonderful.
I've always loved the Day of the Dead sort of imagery and the celebration and everything else with it. So I totally dug it. Absolutely loved it. And the whole process of the longer that he stayed there, the more skeletal he was becoming.
And again, the sort of like they always do. Pixar are just experts at what they do, to be fair, aren't they? But like the kind of economy in the land of the dead, and like the process, like the airport style scanning. It was so funny, and you're like, this is so good.
And it did bring me to tears come the end. I tell you, I was wiping tears off my face. Couldn't help it.
Typical
Pixar. I was like, Pixar, you bastards.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah, did it again. So yeah, that was fantastic. And so yeah, shouldn't pass up an opportunity to watch it if you do get a chance. If you love animation like Pixar. Let's move on to something else. Star Trek Discovery. Since the last time I spoke, I've been reporting on it as it's been going, but season 1 is now done. It's in the bag. It's finished. A lot of people were a little bit upset with the very last episode.
What's the reason? I've not watched it.
Because it kind of went all those loose ends throughout the season. Are we getting a season 2? Who knows? Tie 'em all up. In a really unsatisfactory way.
And it has been greenlit for season 2.
There's a war with the Klingons. Yeah, this should end the war. Do that. And it's like, whew, shit. Like, what was the reason for bringing this character from this universe to do... nothing really? To set that up for maybe season 2? I'm guessing anyone who's listening to this podcast by now who was interested in Star Trek Discovery would have probably seen it all by now. So I'm not going to spoil everything, but I'm just going to talk about the very end of it, which is then, it's sort of unrelated to the whole of the season. But at the very end, they're like, okay, we're going to go to Vulcan. Your captain's dead. You're going to go here and you're going to get your new captain. Okay. On the way there, they get a distress call. And it's very cool how they do it. It comes up on the screen, NCC-17 cut. And you're like, oh, well. Before you know it, the original Enterprise is there in front of the Discovery with the distress call playing. And that's it. It ends. So it's like, the Enterprise is there. And, actually, it says it's Captain Pike. And so we know that this is, just under 10 years before Kirk becomes the captain. But at that point in time, we also know that Spock is the first officer on the Enterprise at that point in time. So are we going to see a new actor playing Spock in Star Trek Discovery? Is he going to be the captain of Discovery before he goes back to... Who knows? It's one of those big things where the writers have just gone...
Zachary Quinto to do it? I mean...
Well, no, because it's the alternate time... We're normal timeline, not the Kelvin timeline, but he would be that age. No, he would be young. Oh, who knows? He's
not. He's
time
pretty
travel,
young-looking dude,
universe
isn't he?
hopping. Yeah, it's true. He would be. I wouldn't mind it, but it would just be too much like J.J. Abrams' Star Trek, which is getting a fourth Quentin Tarantino movie, maybe somehow.
They could just skip it though, like the start of the next series. Like,
and just
that was a fun adventure on the Enterprise. Onward.
They walk onto the bridge, dusting themselves off, like, "Whoa, can you believe that happened?"
As a Star Trek
onto
fan,
Vulcan.
Right? Yeah. It would be daft if they did, because they've set it up now. They got to do something. So the writers and the producers of the show are now stuck with going, okay, we've got Enterprise from original series. What does the bridge look like? Does it look like the bridge that you remember from Kirk and Spock and Bones? Or does it look like the Discovery inside? Now, the thing is, in Deep Space Nine and in the Next Generation, they find old era ships and sometimes go back in time to the old era ships, and they've had those 1960s models in those shows, so they've not broken canon in any way. They've gone, that's how our ships used to look.
I remember there was an
Enterprise
episode of DS9
changed
where they
that.
built
Star Trek Enterprise changed that.
Well, he built a shuttle, didn't he? And they were like, "What are you doing with all these knobs and dials?" He's like, "Sometimes I like to feel the ship that I'm piloting," and it was that callback to like, "No, we're saying this is how we used to build them.
Yeah,
now it's touchscreen.
Now it's all touchscreen. Yeah, exactly. And so, but then Star Trek Enterprise went, "This is the Enterprise, 50 years before Kirk, and it looks like
more
it does."
advanced.
And you're like, "What?" And so is Discovery going to do that with the new Enterprise? Is it going to look... Because I really like the design of the outside of the ship. They've modernized it, but at the same time it looks like the original ship with the dials and the extra bits stuck on it. It looks like a model as well.
It's on screen, but it's kind of doing this, rocking back and forth on the strings. That would have been the best if it was doing that and they were like, "There's a problem with the screen," and someone was like, "Beep boop," and it stopped, and like, "Cool."
But I know Star Trek Discovery has split the Star Trek community a little bit. A lot of people didn't bother with the rest of the season or tuned out. I really enjoyed it. It's not Star Trek anymore because it's now a serial in a way.
And someone dropped F-bombs.
They drop F-bombs. There's bad language. There's violence. Most of the crew that are there from the beginning are dead before the end of the season. So there's only like 3 characters really that sort of come out of those that died.
It's fucking Walking Dead.
In a way, yeah. So it's like, oh, this is your new first officer. 3 episodes later, dead. Like,
Michelle,
we're in the mirror universe. Maybe they'll come dead. Okay, we're just killing characters.
Everybody is dead, Dave.
So I kind of like that too. It's the dangers of space. Everyone's wearing a red shirt. There are no red shirts. You could be next. So I kind of like that. Sticking with the sci-fi, Star Wars Rebels Season 4 has concluded. And so that's the end of Star Wars Rebels. The animators have confirmed that they're going to do another Star Wars animated show. There's also Star Wars live action shows in the works, more Star Wars movies, more trilogies, Star Wars. It was actually really good.
Yeah.
It felt to me more Star Wars than Star Wars has been over the last 20 years. For me, it was the most Star Wars since I'd played Knights of the Old Republic. That's how much I loved Star Wars Rebels. Loved some of the characters, loved the mythology they built up. It's a kid's show, damn it. It's like, why am I so invested in this? Why am I getting emotionally attached to these cartoons? it did such great storytelling.
Dude,
and
DC animated movies do better than like
the live action
live
ones.
action, so
Absolutely do. Yeah,
you know.
it doesn't surprise sometimes. Yeah. So it's coming from. I started with Star Wars, the Clone Wars. I just couldn't stick with it. I was just like, no, this is just not for me. I don't like the animation. The storytelling is just, no. But Rebels turned that around. I was surprised. Now, granted, in each season there are about 3, maybe 4 episodes that are a little bit lackluster and maybe skippable. But some of the lore ones and the ones where they bring back Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Maul. Awesome. The final confrontation between Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi is just amazing.
Sweet.
On Tatooine. Okay, Star Wars geeked them over, and Star Trek geeked them over.
Talk about sci-fi. Have you caught up with the new season of The X-Files?
No, I haven't seen any X-Files since the second theatrical film. And I heard mixed things about, I think it was X-Files season 10, and now 11, I guess, is...
I think that's right. Yeah, the last season was pretty...
For a comeback series.
Yeah, it was a huge letdown, but this new season, they've like doubled the episode count, so I think it's like 10 or 11 episodes.
Okay.
And the majority have been Monster of the Week, with that sort of goofiness to it.
Okay.
And it's been really good.
I was going to say, that sounds good. Yeah.
It is.
Okay. For X-Files sounds great.
That's what X-Files was great at.
Like, in the last season, there was like one sort of goofy Monster of the Week episode, and it was really fantastic. And like, I used to watch the X-Files, like the sort of story running throughout the serious episodes I really enjoyed, but now it's the opposite. Like, when they go back to that story and like their child, it's so bad.
Yeah.
It's bad written. It's
melodrama almost, I'd imagine.
It's dumb. They keep adding new layers to the story, which is just fucking stupid. But this series, they just keep doing the Monster of the Week. Like, they did one where it's like sort of how our world is all about like phones and everything's automated. It was like quite a quiet episode. They start at a restaurant where the only ones in, they put an order on their phones and it's all like automated, and it's like at the end he orders this weird fish and he doesn't want to touch it, and then he says, do you want to leave a tip? And he doesn't. And then they leave, they go in their like self-driving Uber cars, and they have a bad experience then. And
is this X-Files or Black Mirror?
It was like a Black Mirror episode, and he keeps getting messages on his phone saying, are you sure you want a tip? You've got 4 hours left until you can tip us. And he says no, and then he starts getting all these little drones coming to his house. And
so I got a tip. Stop fucking texting me, motherfucker.
His TV's playing up, his phone's messing up, and it gets worse and worse until he's like, fine, I'll pay the tip, and everything stops. And it's such a fantastic, quiet episode.
That does sound like a Black Mirror episode.
But yeah,
I want to watch that
if
now.
you've ever enjoyed The X-Files, give this season a watch.
Okay. Good, they're going back to creepy again.
Yeah, there's some
nice.
Fantastic
that's the first positive thing I've heard about new X-Files, so yeah, thank you.
I've been catching up with Walking Dead, I think, TV-wise.
Walking Dead, yeah. Now, I in the last podcast, it pained me a little bit to listen back to the last podcast and I wasn't here when Ian was just like, yeah, I've just finished the latest season of Walking Dead, and I'm just like, no, it was the mid-season, Ian.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is everybody up to date?
I'm not quite.
I think I'm probably an episode or 2 behind.
Then I'll keep my mouth shut.
But I'm still riveted, you know.
The internet seems to be like, oh, why everybody's leaving The Walking Dead? But I'm like, I'm still enjoying it.
I'm still enjoying it. For me, it is, you know, a soap opera, you know, revolving door of characters that come in and come out. They tell their story, they do their bit, and they're gone again. But you have, you know, your core cast, which do move through it, and obviously some of the core cast does change and will continue to change and evolve. That's also why I like it. You know, it's one of the reasons why I like watching prison dramas. Yeah. Because you have your inmates, and some get paroled, and some get killed, and new inmates are being brought in all the time. It's, you know, there's infinite possibilities of storytelling, which is why I really also love Fear the Walking Dead, despite my criticisms of the start of the show. But it looks like there might even be another Walking Dead spin-off series in the works again.
Have you heard about the finale of this season? They're showing it in cinemas.
Wow.
The finale, and then the first episode of the new series of Fear right after in the cinema.
Oh,
that's cool. Pretty cool, yeah.
So that might be.
I'm hoping they got some surprises for us.
Because you're right, and it's like it seems to be the internet wants to shit all over Walking Dead. For the last 2 seasons,
the ratings, the actual visual ratings are going down too, though.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing I hear the most is sort of like, it's so slow and it's so this, and I'm like, Okay, one, it's called character development, but if you don't like it, then I suppose like you're going to complain it's being slow. But I'll say about this season, we'll be on season 8.
I think so.
Yeah. Whatever this season is, I'm on about. I think I'm on about 8 episodes into it, so I'm about 2 or 3 behind.
I think I'm up to 11.
This is all out war, like the
yes.
you know the story arc of the comics. Like they hit the ground hard running on this one, didn't they?
Yes.
You know? And I mean, so, you know, it just stuff was happening in every single episode. There's a little bit of me that was like, you know, a little bit disappointed in all the setup and like the plan that was going through. I think the Saviors maybe got out a bit
too easy. Yeah.
But okay, but dude, I gotta admit, spoilers if you're not this far through it, but when Shiva got pulled out, I was like,
obviously as a fan of the graphic novel, I was like, I knew it's kind of coming.
Well, you knew,
but when?
Yeah,
like,
but it's very quick in the graphic novel. She's introduced, and unfortunately, she dies very easily and quickly in the graphic novel, doesn't she? Really, but in this, I was like, oh, okay, we're getting a bit of working with the tiger.
Yes, yeah.
Was it the last season finale when they're all out front? And she comes out of nowhere, and just bam, and you're like, oh, it was so awesome. But
I can see the problem with like it's basically been 2 seasons of this sort of back and forth with the Saviors. So with the way TV works, like. Once every Sunday, so you got a week to wait, and then you got the mid-season break where it's off for a couple of months. Something on that scale with that many breaks can be a pain in the ass, but I think it might be even better just to binge watch it at the end of the season.
That's what I do, man. I wait. That's why I wanted to start it. I wait until the mid-season. Well, the only thing is because I didn't used to because I didn't want the spoilers, and now I've just come to grips with like, fuck, you just can't. You can't dodge certain spoilers, and it's like it's not going to take my enjoyment away. So I tend to like I'll wait until that half season's done. I mean, this week I've been because I'm preparing for that 40k tournament in London. I've got to paint a load of essentially zombie models, and I was like, now's the time.
Yes,
I know what I'm painting, just watching it, just sort of like, you know.
Cool.
Been really good, but I'm mega enjoying this season, man. I think it's pretty excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, I usually binge watch a lot, but lately I'm just like I can't. I just need to catch up on the next episode. I need to know what happens next.
Yeah.
So a couple of other films I want to talk about quickly. I saw Black Panther, and I'm going against the grain, and I was not that impressed. by the film. Of all the people I've spoken to, I've only actually spoken to one other person who felt the same way as me. And the film didn't do that much for us.
See, that's the thing. I understand its importance, sort of socially, and
yes, I do too, and I do appreciate
background
that.
message of it. But from what I've heard, it sounds like another Marvel movie.
That's the thing. That is my thing. It's like the 21st or 22nd Marvel movie now, and I've seen them all, and I've seen a couple of them a couple of times.
Yeah.
So if for me sat there, I was just like, I'm feeling the beat of the drum of the film. Just like I know what beat's coming next. I know what's coming next. And I also didn't like Black Panther. I liked him in the Civil War film, but in this he was just monotone. Like his emotion, no matter what range it was, came out the same.
So this
and
is
I just didn't feel
I've
for
not
him.
Seen it, so
I felt for the villain.
Following on, right? Take it this is following on chronologically.
Yes.
So obviously in Civil War he had the emotional hook of his dad dying.
Yeah, so now you'll go and follow what's going on there with
this is
who's
him
to be
now
crowned.
assuming the throne of
and basically someone else going, actually no, you don't deserve it, it should be me. And these are the reasons
Creed
why.
comes in and challenges into a fight, right?
Yeah,
I've not watched it yet.
I've been since Age of Ultron. I really didn't like that film, and my interest in the Marvel films has just sort of plummeted.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't really enjoyed a Marvel film in ages until something like Guardians 2 came out, and then it was like a separate film. I really enjoyed it, and then I watched Thor Ragnarok a few weeks ago, and again it was different.
Yes,
and I really enjoyed it.
Yes, yeah.
I think that's one of the
I think
best
it's the
ones
funniest of
all of them. It might be
all
the
of
best
them.
one actually.
Yeah.
To be honest, I normally go to Winter Soldier, but I think
Winter Soldier is great
Ragnarok
outside of Marvel and its own. Yeah,
absolutely.
The comedy in it was just so off kilter from the norm. Like when the girl comes down to sort of stop them taking Thor near the start.
Yes,
and then she comes out, no, he's mine, and then she's just so drunk she just falls off the layer. It's like, oh, it's things like that. It's just like
the offbeat humor, and of course, they had Jeff Goldblum in there as well.
Being Jeff Goldblum, intergalactic Jeff Goldblum.
That fucking gag where he does the time's slower here, so he's like talking about his age, so here I'm kind of nah, and he doesn't say it. It's really funny.
Also in the cinema recently, I got to see Tomb Raider. And, you know, I was...
The quick time event movie!
Exactly, you know, I was watching it and I was like, I remember playing this part.
Does it have bits where she fucks up and she gets killed gruesome, then it rewinds time? It's like, no, try again.
If you played the modern interpretation of the Tomb Raider game, where she gets stranded on the island, you've seen this film already.
Oh, so she's about to spend 90 minutes getting the shit beat out of her then?
Yes, but the thing is, with the film, it goes, how about we have 20 minutes of her going from school, delivering her doing her job? How about we have this chase sequence where we put a tail on her bicycle and all these cyclists try to chase after her and she has to... And we can show her skills as she, you know, before she gets on the island.
Is there a scene where she fights a big robot in her mansion?
No.
No, wait, that was the old film.
Is Chris Barry in this one?
No,
Shame.
I know. That's the only holdover I was hoping for.
Nothing's cooler than slippers and a shotgun.
You know, it's young Laura. She doesn't own the mansion. She refuses to sign the
renting.
paperwork. She's, you know, at the state of mind where she's like, my dad's still alive. I'll have you. And if I sign those papers, it means he's really dead. But then obviously she does some investigating and solves the clues and finds a map which led to the whereabouts of her dad. And so she gets on the boat and goes to the island. And, you know, I appreciated this interpretation because when she finally got to the boat, I was just like, where's the other 6 characters that were on the boat with her in the game? They're not in the film. Good! Because they were all fodder. They were a waste of space in that game. They were fetch quests, help quests, missions that were just like, you know, it's not nothing to do with Lara really. It's just she feels compelled to help them, I suppose. So dropping all the chafe really from the game, you can then focus on Lara. And small spoiler here, okay, I'm sorry, it's not a big one.
She raids a tomb.
But you know the film. There's one tomb.
She finds a
There's
medieval
only one
in
tomb.
a tomb where no one has set foot in 1,000 years for some reason.
And you know the whole time everyone's saying don't open it, don't open it, don't open it because the end of the world will occur. And so it's it's the tomb she actually didn't even want to go in. But then of course, you know, stuff happens, has to go in tomb. But it is a film about Lara, and it does, you know, develop the character in the way that a film does that a game spends a lot longer doing. So it does it really well in film terms. My biggest complaint with the film is that all of the special effects were good, the stunts were great, but I could just tell the uncanny valleyness of the superimposing of her in some sequences took me out of the spectacle. She is a very good Lara Croft.
Who is it playing her as well? I don't recognise her.
I can't remember the name
is she
right
a new
now.
actress? You know,
She I've not recognised her from anything else.
I was really say she,
But
but I don't know.
all of the main sequences, like from the game where she gets impaled with and stabbed and she has to pull it out, you know, all those moments are in there where she has to first kill somebody.
Tapping B.
You know, and she's drowning this guy in a puddle of water while he's trying to attack her, and she finally kills him. You know, I was sat there and I almost cried a tear for her, for the mental trauma that's just occurred to her. It was just like, hits you at once. So
that was the biggest thing when that game came out.
It kind of trivialized a little bit.
They've
about...
redone Tomb Raider, and then it's like, oh wow, she's
a
real
real
through
person.
the ringer on this one.
Yes, yeah. She felt like a real person that you cared for. So the film does an adequate job, and I almost want to say the best video game to movie adaptation, but then again, as we've mentioned that bar a few times tonight, it's pretty damn low. You know?
Played by Alicia Vikander.
That's the one.
Vikander?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I would say in about 80% of the film, she looks like Tomb Raider. But at 20%, sometimes I'm like, you don't quite look like Tomb Raider. But she sounds just like she does in the games, though. I haven't done a side-by-side comparison or anything, but she sounded, you know, she had a
very traditional,
quaint
English
British
accent.
Yes.
Well, that's probably better than a film in the same vein I watched last week, which was Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle.
Yep, it's
Did you
getting a
watch that?
sequel. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was goofy,
really?
silly fun,
Loved it.
and I really enjoyed it.
Loved it. Sat with a kid, watched it, thought it was hilarious.
Yeah,
Me and my wife watched it, and we were just thinking, this it feels like it should be funnier than it is. I just felt a lot of the jokes sort of...
okay.
But with the comedy cast, I didn't think Jack Black was that funny in the position
See,
he
I
should
thought
have
he
been
stole
in.
it.
I thought he stole
I
it.
thought he
Yeah.
sort of shone in a movie that had The Rock and Kevin Hart in, which is
Yeah.
no easy task.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, weird. Well, I thought it was either that or Annihilation, and we went for Jumanji.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I've not watched Annihilation.
I haven't seen Annihilation
I've heard-
yet. It was...
I've
well,
heard
we've
disappointment, but...
just got a couple of minutes left, so I'm just going to quickly rattle through the news segment before we bring this segment to a close. And in the news, Annihilation has been pulled from cinemas, and gone straight to Netflix.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened?
It wasn't coming out over here. I thought it was
It's
just
not
Netflix for UK.
No, it was supposed to have a cinema release.
It did in the States.
It did in the States, but no one went to see it. So they just went, okay, so we'll take this film and put it on Netflix now because we'll get more people to watch it there. Which is a shame because I was looking forward to watching that in cinema. I'm a big fan of Alex Garland.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm frustrated. I need to find out why that happened. So anyway, very quickly in film news, Rob Zombie is back working on a new film.
Yeah, bruh.
And it's called 3 from Hell, and it is a sequel to The Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses.
Take my fucking money.
Oh my god, he tweeted out with the back of his chair, which says the film title, and it literally says, "It's all true. The murder and madness continues."
Sweet.
I'm so excited he's not making another Halloween film or a remake. But anyway, next news, no Batgirl for Joss Whedon.
No,
Joss Whedon
no,
has departed Warner Brothers and DC comic film adaptations entirely.
Went across the street and now he's walked back out in the street and just fucked off.
Right, so I don't know what he's going to be working on next, but he's no longer attached to DC, which is interesting.
It sounded mutual. Like he said he didn't have a story to tell.
Yes, now he also said, he thinks he failed because he didn't have a story to tell. And I'm like, but you're Joss Whedon. You did Buffy and you did Dollhouse, and you wanted to do Wonder Woman all these years.
Yeah.
You kind of got to a little bit with Justice League, but now is your chance to do Batgirl, and then they say you don't have a story. That to me that's bonkers.
Wow.
That's batshit crazy.
Maybe he can't tell the story he wants to, and he doesn't.
That's
have
what I think.
And he doesn't have a story
and they don't want to tell his story.
Yeah.
But also in recent news, I didn't know this, but Joss Whedon just been busted for having an affair on his wife, and so there might be some consideration that they don't want someone who would cheat on their wife making a film about girl empowerment or an empowered female character. Yeah. So there might be a sorry.
Or there might be just a lot of media backlash that they don't want.
That attachment.
Yeah.
So
there's
so much shit going on in Hollywood. It's
a massive issue, isn't it, at the minute? With the Me Too movement and everything like that. So
yeah,
I can see it happening.
Yeah. Next bit in film news: Avengers: Infinity War has broken all pre-sale or pre-booking records
based on
for
that
a movie.
trailer. I'm not surprised.
Based on the trailer, which we're going to very quickly talk about, is spine-tingling, hair-raisingly exciting. I know you made a quick note when you watched the trailer.
You just said that music.
That music. Absolutely. Oh my god.
Other one as well, I only realised this the other day. Josh Brolin is kicking ass Marvel-wise, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's Thanos and fucking Cable.
Yeah.
He's going to have a good year. He's done well. Yeah.
But yeah,
He's going to get that Marvel money.
I didn't even need to see the trailer. I was going to watch the film anyway, but now I've seen the trailer twice, and I'm like, I got excited the second time watching the trailer.
What did you think? Because, like you said, you've had this dive on the Marvel universe. So did that at least pique your interest, maybe? Because
not overly. I mean, I'm interested.
I want to see Star-Lord talk to Iron Man.
That was the highlight of the trailer for me because it is the Galaxy Guardians that I do like. Meeting Iron Man, it's just. I don't know. There's a lot gonna have to happen in that film.
Who do you think's gonna die?
Oh, we've had a couple of these prediction ones, but Loki out.
I'm saying Captain America. He's dead. I'm saying
I don't want them to kill Chris Evans off. He's just a good Captain America.
He is great.
I don't want them to kill Iron Man off either.
Yeah, I think it might be a good point for Downey Jr.
I don't think they'll do Iron Man again because they teased it to a point in the first Avengers movie when he goes flying off with a bomb.
If they're going to be doing time travel-y things in the next movie to prevent all the catastrophe that happens in this movie, I mean, some characters can die and be brought back again.
I will say, be prepared for a fucking a sad ending to this movie.
Oh yes, but I do think if one of the Avengers, any one of them has to do the heroic sacrifice, my money would not be on Captain America,
Hawkeye,
but on Iron Man, because he has been a villain in some of the Avenger films to an extent, as in he's the creator of Ultron,
he's the pro-registration.
The pro-registration and everything, so I think it would be him to make the sacrifice in a way, to save all of them.
You've got to think this might be the one where if Captain America dies, then it's the next one is all about that redemption of him trying to go back and do something.
Yeah.
See, that's another problem I have with the Marvel. There tends to be no consequences. Usually by the end, it's like, meh, it's all good. Even at the end of Age of Ultron, it's like, Tony Stark pretty much fucked over the world nearly then. But
Yeah, but,
every at the end is like, oh,
you
jokes.
do have the fact that, I mean, the Registration Act by Civil War is a consequence of Sokovia, and look, they bring it back to the Battle of New York, don't they, and everything. They basically say, like, all this shit that's happened, this is why we need to register, why we put you on a register. Those kind of the consequences.
Just doesn't seem heavy to me. I don't know.
Well, like,
and if
no
you're
one's
saying,
dying,
like...
That's the main thing. No one's...
and if you did say, like...
Oh,
in the next film...
Asgard did get destroyed completely.
But, yeah.
You know, there were... But Asgardian would argue there's been consequences.
But when you said, like, they might bring them back, like, in the next film with, like, time travel and all that, that would also be just like, ugh. You hit something big there, but now you're going to undo it. It's just like...
Yeah, it would feel like a cop-out, but... Yeah, I don't know.
But then again, it's like, it's a family film, so it's for the kids. Maybe they don't want that sort of...
Oh, it's going to leave some tears. It's going to leave some marks. And they've already said there's so many more Marvel projects in development for the next evolution of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, and it is a two-parter anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've got another year plus then to wait to the conclusion anyway. So this whole film will probably feel like setup. Yeah. I think there'll be a big battle, as we've seen in the trailer, maybe at the midpoint, and then a climactic battle at the end, which will just leave you going, oh, how long until we see the conclusion?
Don't be surprised if it fades out with Thanos stepping on his neck, you know, stepping on Captain America's neck, and that's just where it ends.
Snap,
like, oh shit, you know, or no, just like, you know, that scene in the trailer where he's holding him down, which I was begging for Steve Rogers to look up and go, I can do this all day. That would have been really tight, but I guess I was asking too much. But I won't be surprised if it ends on some kind of cliffhanger like that.
If I could tie it to news though, Kevin Smith just posted that he saw the trailer and he's glad he's lived through his most recent heart attack.
I was
so he
going
can
to
see
say
this film.
that for any news, man. That I had a little cry when that happened.
See,
I thought we'd lost him.
I saw the tweet. It was like Kevin Smith in hospital, and he was like, "I'm just going to talk about this, and this from hospital." I was like, "Oh, cool! Kevin Smith's gone to hospital to visit someone or help out somewhere." I was like, "Get on, he's always great." And then I've just found out that he was in there because he needed an operation.
You know it's serious when Scott Mosier flies back from France to do an actual episode of Smodcast at the house with him. That was really good. But I'd recommend anyone listen to the recent Smodcast where he talks about what happened, because he just tells the best story in pure Kevin Smith form of, I was just really worried that they had to shave my groin and I didn't want anyone to see my dick.
But it's often like, I don't want to take my shirt off. I don't care if you want to monitor my heart, just I'm not taking my shirt off.
They're like, hey, we need to go through your groin to clear the blockage that's going to kill you. No, here, shave it there. Like, I'll pull my shit to the side. And like, it was so funny. But it's good to hear him in good spirits. And he's also tweeted out there's obviously a lot of projects now that he's like, oh, this was kind of way over here and I'll get to it whenever. And there's a few things that he's gone, I want to get to that now. And
just in case, He's question your immortality when you've just had that experience.
Well, I think he's taken it in a kind of sensible way from listening to the podcast where he's just talked about, I just got to change a few things in my life, and now I'm a guy that takes pills for, like, you know, this, that, and the other. So
he's also vegan now.
He's vegan,
even though he doesn't like vegetables. So I don't know how that's going to work.
It's only going to last 2 weeks,
probably. Well, you know, and he's lost a lot of weight, hasn't he? You know, in the last year or so. But yeah, I had a massive freak out.
Yeah, it's frightening.
I do love
when you lose your idols, you know.
Totally. I've been waiting for him to release more episodes of fucking Hit Somebody for the last few months. I'm like, get your ass round to that, because he's been just reading the scripts on Smodcast. Okay. Because he never got to make it, and it was great. He did 2 episodes, and they were fantastic. So yeah. Don't die, you big dickhead. Jesus.
Well, we're going to bring this part of the podcast to a close, but we'll be back with part 2, talking about comics and graphic novels.
Yeah.
And welcome back to part 2 of the podcast. We're going to be talking about comic books and graphic novels.
Comic book, you're awesome.
This was a theme that I think Ian threw at me, and I was like, I of course know what a graphic novel and a comic book is. You very rarely actually see me reading them. I grew up reading, the Dandy. And the Beano?
Yeah.
On a weekly.
Buster.
So that
Buster and Weezer as well.
And then, of course, I think I graduated on to Viz.
What, 4 or 5? Yeah.
Which was, of course, pretty vulgar and adult graphic material.
And great.
And great, yeah, it was great. And, there was...
Viz would be the equivalent in the States of, say, like Mad Magazine.
Mad Magazine, yes.
But comic strip.
Good comic strip form, yeah. And then for me it was 2000 AD. And and it was because a neighbour was moving and he literally just came around with like 4 boxes full of 2000 AD comics.
Here's a bunch of inappropriate comics for your child.
Exactly. And I've
here's-
never seen anything like it. It was my introduction to Judge Dredd. And this is for somebody else. I could probably Google this myself. I'm kind of lazy. There was another story in 2000 AD and it was like a barbarian warrior. Just beautifully...
Slain.
Maybe that one. And
I think
it's
it's pronounced Slain.
Slain, yeah, and it's just
Slain.
beautifully illustrated, just fantastic artwork, and I've just not seen anything like that since like Conan the Barbarian, but even more fantastical. Just absolutely loved it, and of course, Judge Dredd, just as an icon, as I guess a failed movie interpretation. Whether we love Dredd, despite what you say about Judge Dredd. Despite us loving Dredd, it's still a commercial failure. It's just the 2000 AD comic universe, just not quite enough to stand toe to toe right now with Marvel or DC. Even what everyone says about DC, 2000 AD fell even more by the wayside. But there is a lot of other adaptations of material that I have been reading and continue to read, like The Walking Dead. Now, a lot of people go, "Oh, that's a graphic novel." I'm like, well, actually, there's a big distinction between what is a comic book and what is a graphic novel. And that is, a comic book is continuously ongoing. It kind of hasn't ended. It just keeps getting picked up.
People confuse trade paperbacks with graphic novels.
Absolutely. Whereas, even like at the beginning of The Walking Dead, it comes up saying based on a graphic novel, which it's not. It's based on a comic book.
Yeah.
But when people throw comic book at you, people go, "Oh, it's superheroes and it's child's play."
Yeah,
and when people go, "It's a graphic novel," people go, "Oh, that's sophisticated."
Yeah, that's what I can't remember. Like, I think maybe like Kevin Smith saying like, "No, I don't read comics. I read graphic novels."
Yeah.
And
it's like that's the
it's
smart.
like, oh yeah, it's graphic novels. Good.
Like he tells the story of like falling out of comics and then what? Because he's like, "Well, it's for kids," and then Walt Flanagan was like, "Read Dark Knight Returns, bitch." It's like that's not for kids,
So, but I've obviously been affected by the likes of Superman and Batman, but I never read their comics. But then again, over here in the UK, I didn't know anybody that was reading any of those comic books, but we knew who Superman and Batman were because of
But your
the
Batman
films.
was 1966 Adam West Batman.
It was until the films came along with Michael Keaton as Batman. And he was Batman and Jack Nicholson was the Joker. That's how it was. You used to collect the trade cards with chewing gum in them.
Oh yeah.
And collect all the scenes from the film. So those were my experiences with like the superheroes. Today, reading graphic novels, the only one I really read, I say graphic novels, the only comic book I'm really reading is The Walking Dead ongoing. And I'm pretty much up to date. I don't think there's been any more as to where I am. And so it's cool watching the TV series catch up to. But for me, yeah, it's not something I would consider as a pastime. It's something I would... The Dark Tower series, the Stephen King adaptation in graphic novel format was fantastic. I like them because they have an end. I can pick them up and I can read it to its end, and it's done. With comic book continuously ongoing, it's at this point in time when they've been around really since I guess the late 30s. Because when Superman came around,
like Action Comics.
Action Comics, exactly, yeah. And then with Batman as well, and it's like those become collector's pieces. But then it's like if you want to read a Batman story, it's like what era of Batman do you like? Where would you go to? And with the big companies, they have reset moments. Marvel and DC, I think, have both done it at some point, but they've gone, okay, well, let's go to an alternate dimension and tell all these new what-if stories and things. And for somebody casually trying to get invested, it's just too much.
It's daunting.
It is very daunting. And so I think a lot of people now have gone back to comics and to graphic novels of the characters that they've liked from the new Marvel movies, of just kind of going, hey, these characters, and people are going, no, I want to find out more about them, and we'll actually go and find some of those graphic novels or stories. Now, there's a lot of those that you can also now find on the internet. You don't need to go into a store and buy comic books anymore. You can get them digitally. And that's another thing, how it's changed. And of course, graphic novels and comic books as we knew them almost died out. You know, Marvel was on its bare bones, as we know it. It sold the rights to all of its characters to all the other different studios and pretty much took massive loans from a bunch of banks and made Iron Man, hoping that Marvel would still be around after that film. And if it had failed, it would have just gone. So it's... but now we live in a time where geek culture is sort of inheriting the media in every way.
Oh, the time is ours.
The time is definitely ours. But I still don't see myself ever going back to reading comics or graphic novels. And I know the two of you do have a passion for your graphic novels and some of these stories. So you've been asked to come up with at least 5 stories from graphic novels or comics that stand out to you. And so, yeah, I'm just going to throw the ball over to you, Andy. Do you want to...
Okay, yeah, I'll start. So, I mean, I did a list of... I did a top 5, which... I mean, I certainly wouldn't say that it's definitive, but certainly 5 that immediately stuck out without me.
Yeah.
I was gonna go in. I've got in my room, my house, I've got a little man cave set up, and I've got them all on one big shelf. And I collect comic books in either trade paperback form or graphic novels because I just find it's easier to store and it's easier to get to. And I do also have a pretty big digital collection. So I was gonna go in to the cave, as it were, and sort of like, right, let's just look on the shelves because that's going to give me my answer and stuff like that. But I thought, no, I'm just going to sit here. I thought I'll sit down and I'll come off my head. So, I mean, I'll go sort of 5 to 1. I guess we can go back and forth. And my sort of number 5 was Batman Hush, which I know is on your list as well, Dave. Batman Hush is an amazing book that was written by Jeff Loeb and illustrated by Jim Lee, and tells a story of a former friend of Bruce Wayne from his childhood. Spoilers, by the way, for everything we're going to talk about. Coming back to him, years later, obviously, while he's Batman, and sort of involving all these different characters, playing him off against people to a big reveal that it's actually him, and also like trying to assume his identity. And they off that original book, they've brought in following sort of like storylines where he's come back. Like you said, no one ever really dies in comics, so they keep bringing him back. It's fantastic. It's good. It is one of the best drawn books I've seen as well. I've got a copy of it called Hush Unwrapped, which is just the pencils by Jim Lee, and it's just all the panels just in black and white and the pencil.
Wow! Before all the artwork was added afterwards.
Yeah.
Wow.
Before the tracer came in.
Yes. Just a tracer.
Inker.
Cool, yeah, it's a story I'm not familiar with. I have seen all of the Batman animated series.
Okay.
It's not come up yet, and it's not been animated yet, hasn't it?
No, it's not been animated. Are any of the... I mean, I obviously not reading any of them. How much so was the Batman animated series inspired by the stories from the book? Did they change anything? What did they really just take the imagery?
Back and forth. You've got to remember, like, for example, Harley Quinn was introduced by the animated series, that classic animated series, was brought in for that. So there's certainly some parallels that are brought into it, but I mean, it was very kind of standalone, I think, the animated series.
Yeah, they usually came up with their own like origin stories for all the bad guys, like Mr. Freeze.
But for me, it just feels like those are that's the blueprint, that's the template, that's fact, that's the canon.
Again, that's the thing, sort of like, that's why, again, for years until, say, 1989, your Batman was Adam West.
Yes, I know, yeah.
So it's kind of like, that's what you got. I always say, like, when I read Batman, the voice I hear
is Adam
Kevin
West.
Conroy.
Oh, Kevin Conroy. Yeah.
Because of the animated series.
Yes, yeah.
I'm like, that's Batman.
And the games as well,
exactly,
of course.
You follow the games through and you're like, oh, it's good.
It's good.
That's
good.
what Batman sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had Hush on your list as well, didn't you?
Yeah, see, I've been collecting Batman as comics. I didn't do the trade paperbacks since '95, which is like issue 516. I've recently, over the years, gone back to like 402. So I've got about 40 odd years of Batman comics.
Yeah, right.
But I think that was like, I think R.I.P. came after that, but that was
like
Hush was.
That was like the 550s was R.I.P., wasn't it? Yeah.
No, that was
that
No
Final
Man's
Crisis?
Land. No, it was like 650.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But like Hush was the last, I think, big story before. Then it was R.I.P. and then they rebooted with the new 52.
Yeah.
But yeah, just collecting that week on week was just phenomenal. They got like all the villains in. They were all being used and manipulated,
I guess,
to sort of work on Batman when they didn't even realise it. And it was just like all the best villains coming in. They all just usually had their own issue to themselves.
Yeah. And the best thing about Batman is the rogues gallery.
Absolutely,
Really,
that's the biggest. That's always been the biggest attraction. The most colourful villains.
It's part of the reason why, like Hush, another one you mentioned that was so good was No Man's Land. Is because you that focused big time on the rogues gallery. Is sort of like what they did. No Man's Land, if you don't know, is about like a huge earthquake that decimates Gotham.
Right.
You know.
I always liked how Poison Ivy controls Superman in that.
Yeah.
And makes Superman go after Batman.
Oh,
that
God,
was
I
badass.
forgot about that. Yeah,
and that was right.
fantastic.
That's like issue 2, I think.
Yeah.
And it was right at the start. It's like, oh, that's badass.
I have a question for you comic book guys. How soon did in the Marvel or DC universes did Batman meet Superman? How long was it established? Like, because like for all of from my experience of Batman, I never even contemplated that Superman was just across the pond, or just across the sea. It was just like, what?
Look, don't watch Dawn of Justice and assume that fucking it's a boat trip to get from Gotham to Metropolis, okay? I'll say that for one.
But I think during World War II, a lot of DC were releasing comics with like the
Yeah.
Justice League working together to take down the
Super
Nazis.
Friends.
So
Yes,
it's
Super
been going
Friends.
on for a lot, probably
Very
since
early.
like the late 30s,
Yeah,
40s.
yeah,
Yeah.
very early in their iterations that
Yeah.
they came together, and they're obviously very, very different versions of the heroes.
Well, you
Like
got
you
all
said,
the
like-
ages, haven't you? You got
Exactly.
the Golden Age.
That's
Silver
it, the Golden Age,
Bronze.
when that was when there was laws were passed pretty much to stop the graphic nature of the villains and the heroes in these books, and it made them PC. It was like the death of Punisher, essentially, because Punisher couldn't exist in it with those sort of...
Which is why we had it good in the UK, because after like the punk scene over here in the 70s, that's how we got like 2000 AD.
Yeah, we didn't give a
Yes.
shit.
I think we had... Was it heavy metal was over here? I think.
Yeah,
that was a-
Yeah.
Yeah, good
So
call.
where they would just push boundaries and they're like, fuck it.
Yeah, there's
Fuck
nothing
your
stopping
comic
us.
code.
Yes, yeah.
So-
Yeah. So yeah, next on the list.
So, Mike, well, what was your number 5? Because I know Hush was
I'll say Hush was my number 5. I didn't really order them, so
No,
yeah,
that's
you go
fair
to the
enough.
next one.
Okay. Well, my next one then is Wolverine Origins, which, if you've seen the movie, it's not that.
Oh,
So,
he had a brother, and he fought through lots of wars and got
He had a-
nuked.
Gambit.
if you watch the opening of the Wolverine's Origin movie, I mean, I guess part of that is pulled from the comic book run, but
Yeah.
that's pretty much it, really. The actual run, Wolverine Origins, was a pretty big event. I remember, sort of like, I mean, going back to when I used to buy the comics week on week. I mean, this was back. This was like 06 to 010, 06 to 2010.
Right.
That they did a run on this. This was on I go back to like Kathy's Comics to buy.
Okay. I've just recently found no comic book bag from there.
Really?
So many memories. It was a
Adorable.
paper Caffey's comic bag.
Go in there
Wow.
to our local shop. I mean, it brings in Wolverine's son Dakin, and brings back Romulus as well, doesn't it? Harkens back to like the pre-Weapon X days and everything like
Right.
that. And you get some. It's just a fantastic background story of like Wolverine's family in like colonial America, growing up through, and then him dealing with like the aftermath of that.
Yeah.
So that's a killer story. That one's is it Daniel Way, I think it is.
Yeah.
And also it's animated by Steve Dillon,
Okay.
who you'll hear about later as well in my list. But it's spectacularly drawn. Visually it's one of my favourite books.
Cool. And so what's the sort of story arc for that? Is it just because it's the backstory? So how much
Yeah.
of that is the origin? When from there does he go and get the adamantium transfer? Because
Well,
that's...
I mean, it's kind of it doesn't go through the whole Weapon X thing. It's just established. It's kind of like a bit of a time jump thing. Do you know
Okay.
what I mean? But it's mostly about establishing like where he came from as well, and then shooting you forward into like where the modern day, where it was at the time, I guess, and introducing his son and like pitting them against each other as well, which is fucking awesome. Like
Wow.
some fantastic fights, and then him trying to like get his son, control away from Romulus on his son and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's not. So yeah, I think a lot of people think like oh, it's going to tell the entire story. So no, we've already seen that, through the Weapon X comics and everything.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. All right. My second one, I'll keep with Batman. Get the Batman out of the way. It's a book called Black Mirror. It was like the last hurrah for pre-52 Detective Comics. It was when Scott Snyder, just after Gates of Gotham, basically did this really long story with one of my favourite artists called Jock. It's basically... It starts off... Batman has just returned from the dead, but hasn't returned to Gotham to be Batman. He's off doing Batman Incorporated.
What's Batman Incorporated?
Basically, he wanted to franchise
Exactly
Batman.
what it sounds like.
He wanted to franchise Batman. He wanted to make his own Batmans around the world.
Yeah. So this is like a Russian.
Is this
Batman
the real
in
Bruce
Moscow.
Wayne?
Yeah.
What?
Well, he comes out, doesn't he, in this one to say, "I've been financing Batman for years,
Yeah.
and no one still
Right.
puts this shit together."
This sounds really bad.
So, Dick Grayson, at that time, became Batman for Gotham City.
A Batman.
Well,
Or-
he
or is
takes
He
up
was like the
mantle
original
of
Batman,
Okay.
while Bruce Wayne's off doing silly things and being in two places at once.
Damian Wayne is
Robin
Robin
still.
at this point as well. Yeah.
It starts off with a cool like underground group. Trying to remember what the guy called. It's called a guy called the Dealer. Basically, the guy wears a gas mask and does these underground auctions where rich people come and they can bid on like the murder weapon of that Joker used on Robin. Like all these like famous big attacks and things you can like buy old weapons and stuff, and that's kind of cool. But then a new story sort of develops side by the side, which is Commissioner Gordon's son, who's called James, and basically he was sent away from young because he had some
Issues? Violent tendencies?
yeah, kind of like Jeffrey Dahmer kind
Yeah.
of kid.
Oh.
And
Oh, he's fucked up. Yeah.
basically he comes back to the scene and starts tormenting his sister Barbara, and it's just a really dark, like, and it is like a good for the detective comics where it is bringing out the detective side of Batman and just trying to unravel the mystery, and the art is just phenomenal.
It's funny you say that as well. That's why I always think that they fail with the movies with Batman. Is like the best stories and the best thing about Batman is the detective part.
Yes.
You don't get to see that enough in the movies, especially
It's
the recent
too
one.
much
It's always got to be
action.
this huge
Spectacle.
event where it's like, I would say my favourite part of Justice League was like, there's Batman crouched on a gargoyle about to stop a burglar
Yes.
that he's probably been tailing for a day or two, or seen, he's probably been to break-ins and checked the crime scene and go, I know where this guy's going to be next week. I'm just going to be there already.
Yeah.
That's Batman.
Yeah,
Yes.
see, that's how I got into Batman originally.
Because he's supposed to be the world's greatest detective. He's supposed to be the
what he
world's
is.
smartest person, isn't he? Next to Lex Luthor.
Genius level intellect. But
Yeah.
world's greatest detective.
Yeah, I was 10 years old. My mum and dad were in a weird argument they were having, and my dad decided to take me and my brother to the beach one day, like during the school holidays, which is really odd for him. He's not really that kind of...
An outdoorsy.
No, so we went to the beach, and I went to the nearby shop.
You're like, oh my god, he's going to drown us.
It was quite a popular beach, so I think it would have been cool.
What for drowning?
This is it.
But in the shop for £1, they had like bundles of DC comics. And one of them was the
Dollar comics.
The first issue I found was Batman 516, which was Doug, was it Monarch, I think it was pronounced, but art by Kelly Jones. Now this was when Batman had like the huge ears and like a cape like Spawn, which was just ever flowing and just had like its mind of its own. And it was his return just after the Nightfall Night Quest saga, where nobody trusted him. He's just come back from having his back broken. He's like, I'm going to be Batman. I'm not. He sort of, everybody's distanced himself, and he was like back to bare bones. He had like the old car. He had like old listening devices, like little antenna on the ears, and like doing a really old school detective work. And it was a side of Batman
unique.
I'd never seen before. There's like.
Of course, the biggest appeal I think is for Batman is that he's the one without superpowers in any way. Granted, he has all the money in the world.
I mean, anyone could be Batman, essentially.
Yeah. And so I think that's always the biggest appeal. I think that's one of the reasons why he has reached the popularity that he did as well.
I always want to see in the movie, I'm like, why don't you just have his inner monologue playing while he's doing something?
Yeah,
because you read
never
the comics
done that.
and it's just like, he's not talking in the comics. He's like, I'm chasing down this guy. He's been here. I know this will lead me to this guy. I've got to stop this because whatever.
In the films, they do it as a conversation between him and Alfred a lot.
But it's like, Like, you don't need that.
No, you can just
you
have
can
him
just have
narrate.
it playing over it. He's narrating his own thing. It's like when you watch Sin City, and it's like it's all juxtaposition.
You could
and,
have an awesome sort of dark noir Batman film.
God,
It would just be so good.
Yeah. But I think, there's a lot of different directors that are looking at the DC universe, and it's one of the reasons why I think also Joss Whedon is kind of, one of the reasons why he's not there is because even if he does go to make a Batgirl film now, it has to fit into their DC universe. Because it seems like they want to keep making different films and have a DC universe and have their, their TV series.
And sell a bunch of fucking toys!
And sell toys, and sell comics, and sell animated movies, but it's like, it's all over the place. It doesn't feel cohesive, and that's why in the news it's like, don't actually know what's going to happen, whether that DC universe is even going to continue. Wonder Woman 2's being made, but that might just be the end of it. That might be the end of the whole DC universe. Or there's an Aquaman as well, isn't there?
Well, one of my favourite bits in all of this new run of DC is actually, ironically, in Suicide Squad, bear with me, when Deadpool, when Bats fucking gets the drop on Deadshot in the alleyway, and drops him, pulls out a pair of fucking cuffs.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what he does. He skulks in alleyways and beats people up. That's why he's so cool.
Yeah. It's the quality of Justice League and the quality of the DC movies is, it's arguably poor. It's arguably good.
There's flashes of brilliance, man.
Absolutely. I just never thought I'd hear the day that people were still screaming out for Snyder's version of
well, yeah, because it's this weekend, I believe. Obviously, it'll be out by the time this podcast up, but from where we are, isn't it? This weekend it comes out. Yeah. So today, I guess I'm saying. It's Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah. But
if you watch any advert that comes up on, say, Facebook or any form of social media, it's like, don't forget to pre-order Justice League. Fucking every comment, I will when it's the Snyder cut. And I'm like, wow, shoot this back to when Dawn of Justice is out and imagine if people were asking for this then.
Right.
Crazy.
So, next story.
So my next one is Invincible Iron Man.
Okay.
Which is written by Matt Fraction, who this ran from 2008 to 2012. And it's a long storyline. And it just really sort of like reinvigorates Iron Man, it sort of updates him a lot. And they've drawn a lot from this in this iteration of Iron Man that you're seeing, like the Extremis armor, things like that. They have it in, I think it was Iron Man.
So this series is post Iron Man films?
Yes. Yeah. Well, right, it started around the same time.
Is this part of the other universe with like Miles Morales? Is it the... Oh,
no.
There was like two Marvel timelines. There was like a separate series where they sort of reintroduced everyone.
Because I've got to admit, I wasn't reading I wasn't current with that, as it were. I kind of I picked this up separately. I picked this up as a trade paperback, number one, and started going into it. So I'll be honest, I wouldn't be able to tell you on that one. But it's, I won't go through the whole thing, but it starts off with like AIM involved and brings in like Ezekiel Stane, who is obviously Obadiah's son, who's trying to take control of all of his assets and everything like that. Again, it brings in like the Extremis armor, and it's just like event after event in each comic, and so much happens in it. It's sort of like he ends up being like destroyed and put into like a vegetative state, and he records his brain onto like a disc, and they have to kind of bring him back, and Pepper gets involved. They bring in Sin, who's the daughter of Red Skull. And she releases the Midgard Serpent, and it's just all these huge things that, to be honest, a lot of it you see in the new iteration of the Marvel movies, to be honest. But it's always got a special place, because I think there's 10 or 11 trade paperbacks, and I could not get the last one. Something like it's around that, and I got
any reason, or
I just couldn't. I couldn't find a copy. Sort of like in Plymouth, and I was buying most of them on Amazon.
Okay, yeah.
And I just couldn't get a copy of like the last one. I think it was number 10 or number 11. I found it in a comic book shop in Hawaii when me and Donna got married. Made her walk like 2-3 blocks to go get it.
Why is it? Do you think it was like just that good of a seller that they just sold out everywhere? Like didn't print more?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Wow.
But I really sort of like I had no trouble. I was buying them sort of like 1-2 at a time sometimes, like just because I was hammering through them so quickly. And then just couldn't pick up the last one. But yeah, it literally made her walk like 2-3 blocks in Honolulu. Because comic book
you needed
shop,
to get to that comic book store.
Like, there it is! Yeah, that was good. But yeah, very very much sort of like set. I think it's anyone who reads that one, you'll see the kind of very much the Iron Man that you know from the films, which is good because you know what you're saying about like it's very hard. Where would you start?
Yeah.
If someone said, "I like Iron Man," I'd be like, "Read this."
Okay, yeah. And
know?
it's more of what you've come to.
A lot of it, but it's also got there's a lot of like psychedelic dream stuff going on when he's in this vegetative state. But I think it gives you enough of like you've got enough of a basic understanding of who he is that you can go through it and enjoy it. You know what I mean? I really enjoy that one. And fantastically drawn again.
Okay, so what is it about the story? Is it just
again? It's a kind of it's a different it's more different demons for him to deal with than he had up to that point. Where obviously you have the whole demon in a bottle storyline of what he goes through with like you got the death of his parents, you've got him being an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. This is just him being. It's kind of like the version of Hush for him, where he's just being attacked on all fronts.
Yeah,
and he's got
personally, emotionally, physically.
He's got to rely on a lot of people whose bridges he's burned.
Right.
Who do end up sort of like coming back,
bailing him out, and helping him out,
yeah.
rekindling.
Even Pepper at this point is kind of like in one of the books, Pepper ends up taking on the mantle.
Yes.
And getting her armor and everything.
See, when somebody tells me that, I'm just like, it sounds cool in the comics, but I'm just like, but it also sounds really silly.
It kind of does in a way, but it's sort of like as itself standalone. Like again, in Iron Man 3, he puts the armor on her.
Yes,
that's what that is. That's what it's a callback to, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, naturally in this story, she becomes the Iron Woman. But it is again, it's to save her life.
Right.
It's the same thing, because in this the extremis armor that he's developed is actually killing him as well. Yeah, it's great. It really is great.
That does sound like a cool story. Yeah. Dave, back to you.
I think I'll do my last DC book. Basically, I'm a huge Harley Quinn fan.
I believe you named your daughter.
Yeah, my daughter's been inflicted with the name. Which is, we named her, and then I think 2 years later the Suicide Squad film came out, and then everybody's like, "Oh my god, you named your kid Harley Quinn, wow." Before that they were like, what's that?
You got an animated series DVD and you're like slapping them with it.
But I've been collecting her comics since I think it was 2000, her first run. I got her first ever comic appearance, which is in Batman Adventures, which I think currently worth about £600
nice.
Issue. So
wow.
I keep that one.
Collector's piece, yeah.
I was just trying, because I wanted to talk about it. I was just thinking, what was a really good story?
So, just out of curiosity, I'm just going to tell you what I think I know about Harley Quinn, and you can just say whether I'm right or wrong. But she was a doctor or psychiatrist at Arkham, and she was working on the Joker. She was infatuated with him, and he manipulated her mind, or made her see things, or saw the chaos that he sees, or whatever he did. He basically reversed psychology on her and turned her into, a almost mindless monster, where she is just, just anything for him. Whether I don't think he actually loves her, but she is infatuated with him.
Yeah.
And therefore that's how she's created, just by being close to his madness.
The relationship there's different iterations, isn't there? And there's so many examples where, like you say,
because sometimes she's like a femme fatale and will side with Batman.
Sometimes she's just in an abusive relationship. Sometimes he does love her, and he's just got a very shit way of showing it. And,
right.
I mean, even in the movie, if you watch the movie, you can set by the end of that, it's like he loves her. It is a love story.
Yeah,
he does. I think that's what I say. Is like he certainly doesn't straight away, but like I think by the end of it, it's like he realizes he loves her.
But like in the original her comic run and in the New 52 and I think Rebirth, it always starts off with her saying, "Fuck the Joker, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go alone. I'm gonna have my own adventures." So the story I did pick out was from issue 33 in the original run. It's called Behind Blue Eyes, where she is out on her own, and it's basically all the gangs in the area are all after this young girl who you find out has a code to a safe with tons of gold, but the code is like imprinted on her eyes. So basically they want to kill her, take her eyes, get the code, and she also wants the money too, but she's also torn between sort of being that villain of just like, I'm out for the money, I'm going to cause havoc, and fuck it, I want to help this little girl. And it was just a really good, powerful story where she is defending this girl, and in the end, she turns the girl blind to get the code.
But that's the thing, is she flips back and forth between good and bad
Yeah.
all the time.
It's like schizophrenia in some way.
She is a genius. Like, she is super clever, but
Doesn't always come across her intellect, but then you
that's
do
the
have to
thing.
remember
It's
she
like
was
she
a psychiatrist.
she
and
is a psycho, but then she can just switch it off and be like, nope.
Yeah.
I was
this
going to
is
say,
what's gonna
how
happen.
much does
Stockholm
she...
syndrome, doesn't she, in a way, you know?
Yeah. I was going to say, outside of being her character of Harley Quinn, how much does she sometimes just go, actually, I'm just going to be normal for a minute?
Like, in the new run,
Or is she always exaggerated? Like,
yeah, like in the new run, she basically moves to is it Staten Island? One of the boroughs, like away from the Joke, away from Gotham, and she is like in her spare time a psychiatrist for like lots of elderly people, and she's doing her job well, and she's actually really good at sorting people out. But then she also wants to be a hero in the area, but she does things in a very
Villainous
carefree
way.
way where she'll just kill anyone. Like, and if someone dies in the aftermath, like, oh well. But I sorted the problem out.
Right. So that's just an interesting character. Sorry to take you away. So that was her story.
That was a story that stuck with me out of all the runs.
I can see it because it just makes her more complicated. And as we said right at the start, the rogues gallery of the Batman, universe is just one character. And
she was just like created in the animated series as just one of the Joker's henchmen. Is just like, oh, they're always men. Let's just put a girl in there.
Yeah,
and that's how she was created. And everybody reacted so well. It's like, we'll bring her back.
Yeah,
we'll put her back, and then just
and well, she almost became the centerpiece, really, didn't she, for Suicide Squad?
Oh, she absolutely was.
Yeah.
Her popularity just spiraled.
Straight away, everyone was like, "Oh, Harley Quinn's so."
Did anyone go out on Halloween that year? Everywhere as well.
Yeah,
it was.
Harley Quinn's everywhere.
Chubby Harley Quinn's everywhere.
It was the number one costume that year, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what I find as well? Is like you say with the Rose Gallery as well for the Batman stories. I think the reason it's so good is if you take if you compare the two of obviously Batman and Superman, the Rose Gallery of Batman's fantastic. Lex Luthor obviously is an astonishing character, Brainiac, even Bizarro. I love Bizarro.
Yeah.
But any one of Batman's rogues could kill him at any point because he's just a man.
Yes, yeah.
Superman, it's really hard to write.
You have to have intergalactic
Motherfucker's
monsters.
impervious,
Exactly.
You know? I mean, one it's not on my list, but a really good one for Superman is the Grant Morrison All-Star Superman that he did, where he basically, he flies too close to the sun, essentially, doesn't he? And he ends up getting even stronger, absorbing all the rays of the sun, but it's like, it's too much, and he's basically told, you got a year to live. Right. So all of a sudden, it's like, oh, okay, this is interesting because, he is now like, gonna die, and it's his actions from there.
Wow, yeah.
But I think with Harley Quinn as well, she's that one sort of like, she can walk the line of like, she's a great femme fatale. She's actually a great superhero as well.
Yeah.
But she's also very capable of like manipulating Batman and not just for like, to get him in the Joker's trap, but also like, sometimes she's the fucking scary one,
Yeah. I don't know, I've always found with Superman, he is the moral compass for DC. Sure. He's always the straight-laced, he's the Captain America.
Read Injustice.
Yeah, okay.
He's fucked up.
You got a taste of it with Batman v Superman, obviously.
Yeah.
But Injustice is a fantastic run. It's based on, the video game that came out?
Yes, the dark side, where he basically just goes, okay,
I'll spoil it a little bit because it's kind of like, I don't think it really touches on it in the game. I can't remember. I played a bit of the storyline of the game, but it's not just, Superman's evil in this. It's like, the fucking reason he is
because Lois Lane was killed by the Joker because Batman refused to.
Well, it's
I guess everyone was upset with Batman for not killing.
Lois Lane is killed by Superman.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh yeah, isn't it?
Basically, the Joker works with Scarecrow to produce a new version of poison gas where
that's right.
He thinks he's fighting Doomsday, and the only way he knows to kill him is he's going to just blast him off into space. But the way they write it as well is the way it's not Doomsday, it's Lois.
Yeah,
and he shoots her off into space. But he talks about the last thing he hears is 2 heartbeats.
Yeah,
because she's pregnant.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, holy shit!
Yeah,
and that's where he just literally, I'm done.
Yeah.
this ends now.
And then you don't even get a Joker heartbeat after that.
No,
because
he's
just
fits
just-
right
he
through him.
actually pulls it out of his fucking chest. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yes,
Amazing.
yeah.
But that's the start. That's
Yes,
like
yeah,
issue
that's-
1.
Yes.
And then it goes on from there, Yeah, really, really good. Awesome. Well, my next one that I've put down, my number 2, I guess, but absolutely one of my favourites is Batman R.I.P. By Grant Morrison. Pretty much one of the greatest comic book writers of all time. Writers of all time, I will say.
Cool.
Illustrated by Tony Daniel as well. It's a beautiful looking book as well. This was the culmination of a very long run that Grant Morrison did. Bringing in a lot of Batman's past, bringing in this, extending the Rogues Gallery again with a sinister group called Black Glove,
Black Hand, isn't it?
No,
it's Black
No,
Glove.
that's
isn't it?
that's Marvel. No.
It is Black Glove. I'm sure it's
Okay.
Black Glove. Yeah,
Black Hand.
I'm going to say dark, handy features. But, like his past is brought up in this. His father's brought up in this as well. It's a really good book, but it's very out there. It's a little bit sketchy. You have he's fighting with this entity called the Black Glove. It's run by a villain called Dr. Hurt, who ends up basically he poisons Batman. Bruce Wayne, he sort of like he literally wakes up. He's got no memory of who he is, and he takes on the mantle of this new Batman, doesn't he? The Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, which is, I know, stay away.
It's very colourful.
It's very colourful. He puts like if you Google that and it's like ZUR new word EN new word AGH So you read it, and he literally takes up this mantle and
I'm being shown a sorry, I'm being shown a picture right now, and he has a purple cape and he's wearing red.
Yellow arms.
Yellow arm
and
pieces.
and he sees Batmite as well, who's a very like
Batmite,
very cool callback to like a sort of like Silver Age
I think
comics.
so.
I think
He was like a little sprite.
Yeah.
Okay.
He can like float about, and he's like, you can imagine him with a very goofy voice.
Yeah, he was brilliant as well. They did sort of like revitalise him into like some of the animated stuff as well.
Yeah, like Brave and the
Bold. He did.
Yeah.
I remember watching that with Ian actually, and I was like, "Fucking Batmite!" And he was like, "I told you this is kick ass." And it fully leads. Again, it's picked up and leads into the final Crisis storyline, which again is one of the biggest sort of like events that they had, and into the return of Bruce Wayne, which is like fucking. Like a story across literally time and space of like different iterations of the Batman and of him coming back. And again, they split it off into leading. I think it did eventually sort of like after that was like where Batman Incorporated sort of like picked up later, didn't it? As well. Grant Morrison is just. I just recommend you go and start reading. The first Grant Morrison book that I think I read was actually Arkham Asylum.
Okay, yeah.
That's a twisted, nasty book.
That is that's like again, that ain't for kids. That one.
Why? Yeah, do tell.
It's
I like
it is
Arkham.
exactly what it says. Is where it's all about the Rogues Gallery in Arkham, isn't it? But
Yeah.
again, it's dark as you can. Batman is literally a spectre in this book, isn't he?
Yeah.
So you don't really see Batman
Yeah.
in this book. He's
It's
a
from the
shadow.
villain's perspective, I guess.
It's a shadow, and like it's basically as the book goes through. Every villain gets their moment, like Joker gets his little speech. Mad Hatter's just like, you're like, oh God, you're a child molester. It's bad. It's a dark book, but it was that I've never seen anyone with this look on Batman before,
I'm just showing Gary some of the art from the actual
art is
book.
beautiful.
It's
Now, there
creepy
is-
and it's weird
That-
and it's
yeah.
uncomfortable.
And this is one of the reasons why, I receive Batman graphic novels as birthday presents and Christmas presents sometimes, because people sometimes don't know what to get me because I've got a bunch of stuff. And so, yeah, and that's what I always do. I just love the artwork. And so I'm not that savvy when it comes to who the names are, but you can definitely appreciate some of this work. It is frightening, nightmarish.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff, and so alone the stories that go with it. This is nightmare fuel. Some of this imagery.
I think as well, it's sort of part of how smart Grant Morrison is. I believe as well in like Rest in Peace when they first started on him doing the Batman arc that he starts doing. I know that he said he started with the vision of the cover of Batman Rest in Peace, which is a beautiful piece, and he knew that he wanted to get there. And if you actually, once you read it through, if you start going back through other issues like the Black Glove and stuff like that, you'll see if it's got a picture of an alleyway in Gotham, you'll see Zur-En-Arrh is graffitied on it.
Yeah, this was back in the day before I was
end.
like heavy on the internet, and I thought I was the only one. Oh, did you see that? But no one else knows this. This is me. I'm on top of this. I got this Easter egg.
Yeah, that's Batman like programming that ever eventuality. You know, that's again. So we've spoken about like Batman, obviously with that kind of he's the smartest guy going, and it's like he's planned for every eventuality.
That is one of my favourite stories. Actually, is how Batman knows the weakness of every hero and villain.
Was it Tower of Babel? Honestly,
Tower of Babel.
Yeah. That's where he puts the protocol to fucking task, isn't it? Where he...
But like Zur-En-Arrh is like, if I ever lose my mind or go insane, I have built this character, this Zur-En-Arrh, and he's going to
like
fight.
A factory reset.
He's going to bring me back. So if I lose all control, I've built this into my brain that it's just genius.
Yeah,
that's Grant Morrison for you. He's so.
Do you know what's funny as well? I just realised I saw the other day. You know when I said I watched that Nicolas Cage movie, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Grant Morrison's in that. Isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah, a fucking interview, and he starts
on the
talking
news,
about they're
yeah.
just interviewing. It doesn't say Grant Morrison or anything. I don't think he's just a guy. But it's like when you watch something, your attention somewhere else. And I was half watching it, and I just heard his voice, and I was like, I know that voice. That's Grant Morrison.
Wow.
He's very Scottish.
Just to jump back, this reminded me. The reason why I ended up seeing Tomb Raider was because I couldn't get to see Mum and Dad. Obviously, I looked at the screen times in the cinema. And it was like, oh, Mum and Dad's only showing today. Yeah, it came out in the cinemas over here, and I looked at the time, and it was like 11:30 at night, and I was like, I'm not coming out of the cinema.
Yeah, that's late, man.
1:00 plus in the morning.
It was short
to watch Mum and Dad, so I'll watch it tomorrow. I looked on the next day, gone. Out of cinema. It lasted like a week and a half.
That's a shame.
So it came
that was a fun little film.
I really enjoyed it. I think especially with like watching it in my 30s with kids. I know they're obviously like older and they're in their 40s, but just that whole of like, I had shit I wanted to do, and now this, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I'm not going to kill the kid or anything, but spoilers. But so bringing it back, that's one of my that'll always stand out as one of my favourites. Batman, rest in peace. But I really do say just the entire run of Grant Morrison. On Batman to me is like.
He introduced Batman's son, the son of Batman.
You're absolutely right.
So he's had huge impacts on the lore of Batman.
Did he introduce the Man-Bats as well? Was it in that series that he introduced it? Because they're heavily featured. Talia and the Man-Bats are heavily featured.
Man-Bats have been around since the late 70s.
It's hard to remember who's brought it.
But he brought these things back.
Yeah, and they looked kick-ass as well in this. He really made them good. Again, the League of Assassins is heavily featured in it, but more on the ally side in this. They flitter back and forth. I love as well, like I think I've said it many times, my favourite character really out of the Batman universe is Gotham. Just the city.
Yeah.
And it's like anytime, it's like when they brought in the Court of Owls and things like that. It's anytime you like something that's run by the secret society, you're like, oh, that's always fucking cool, And,
Does Gotham ever see daylight? I don't think it really does.
Some Catwoman from the daytime in some of her comics, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. That's like saying that. Read Batman Incorporated because they go all over the world in that one. So there's a lot of daylight in that. But
Japanese Batman, Mexican Batman.
I always remember in the Incorporated one where I think they were in Tokyo. Where I just remember this panel where to kill the Batman of that city, they filled his apartment with water and jammed a fucking octopus in there.
What?
And there's a great shot from outside, so it's just apartment, and this window is filled with water, and there's a fucking tentacle right up against it like this. And I'm deathly afraid of octopuses, so I was just like skimming it, like I get the gist. That is my nightmare.
Damn, yeah.
Someone putting an octopus in my house is my nightmare. I'd be like, burn the house down. Over to you, man. Good.
I'm going to go for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures.
Sweet.
This is the first comics I ever read.
Sorry, not to cut you off, but I think this is the first comic that I remember buying myself at my local newsagents, where I'd run down every Friday and be like, where's my copy of Turtles?
Well, my mum bought me these because I was like 4. But this came out with the cartoon, so they already had been established in the darker Kevin Eastman sort of 80s black and white comics, but this was like to coincide with the cartoon, so it's a very
this is the resurgence.
I was going to say, because in my experience with the Turtles is that they were not their own thing first. They turned up in somebody else's show or comic, and they were the joke. You know, they were the butt of the joke.
The
and
run
then
that we would have seen as kids in the 80s was actually the second run.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. But the thing is,
I just don't think it- I don't
they
think it
developed
took the
from
first time.
something else
Yeah.
to become what they did. If memory serves, I might be completely wrong, but I think that's
No, I think
I was
Kevin
under the
Neeson
impression
had a silly ideas of just Ninja Turtles, and I think it was like, what if the accident that Daredevil was involved with that gave him his powers? What if some of that mutagen went down the sewer and there was turtles down there? And
They've had some great
the turtles.
crossovers, haven't they?
Yeah.
But it was weird. In the UK, it was released fortnightly. 1 week would be like a standalone, just kind of following on from the cartoon, just a standalone episode. And the other week would be a continuation of a 72 issue run.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which just sort of followed the turtles around the world. It was very meant for a young audience, but had lots of like social messages and environmental messages. But it was cool because I was young and I loved the turtles, just to see them go on this massive sprawling adventure. Just
Cool. And they're not
It was
just
so-
fighting the Shredder and the Technodrome.
no, like he was out of it by like the 10th issue. Like they got sent off somewhere, and it was like
Dropped
whole
onto
new-
planet
Well, this to
Dimension
me
X.
as well was my
Yeah, very
first
much.
like experience of like you watched the cartoons as a kid, and then that finished.
Yeah.
And you know we're talking like if we could only watch something if it was on TV at the time because we didn't
That's-
have like I didn't have it on video. I didn't
There
have
was
it.
no
like-
internet.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. So this to me was like, oh, the TV is finished. Oh, but the story's carrying on. I get to read the comics now, and it keeps going.
Yeah.
That was my first iteration of that happening.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I guess I jumped onto to the Buffy and the Angel comics.
Yeah.
When those shows ended, I was like, I need a
Totally,
little
dude.
bit more, but I never got further than the second issues of either one of them.
Oh, I've got them if you want to borrow them.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't know. I mean, I could probably get them. I don't know if I'd ever really. I just wanted to know the immediate fates of what directions they
Angel
went
especially,
in.
that
It's
first book.
exactly, yeah. That I just needed to know. I just needed to read the first few panels and go, oh, okay, thank you.
Oh, it
Closure.
it did
Yeah.
literally go to hell. I see.
Yes.
Flip over. Oh, Spike did all right. Sweet.
yeah, exactly. I got my closure. I was just like, yeah.
Spike set himself up in the Playboy Mansion. Well
Yeah.
done.
I think it's-
So my top one is.
Is it
Preacher.
top? Is it real top?
This to me is, I would say, for me personally, is my favourite comic book storyline run of all time, which is Preacher.
Cool.
A lot of people are screaming, "Why didn't you say Sandman?" I know, but look,
I've
each
actually
their
got
own.
the Preacher book 1, and I have read that.
Yeah. Preacher is written by Garth Ennis, who did a lot of 2000 AD, I believe, as well, didn't he? And animated by Steve Dillon, who also did Wolverine Origins. And a
Cool,
lot of other
okay.
Stuff as well. So a lot of people are going to be familiar with this now from the Amazon show.
That's right.
Obviously,
Yeah,
it's
2
in its
seasons so
2
far.
seasons.
phenomenal show.
Yeah.
It's a fucking great show. And
Again, I've only done season 1. I haven't touched season 2.
the reason I really like it is because it is a great homage to the story of the comics, but it is not a panel for panel remake. It's very different, right?
Okay.
But I remember I started watching that. We had a family holiday. We had the yearly holiday or whatever, and we went to Lanzarote, I believe. Nice.
Yeah.
Off into the sun. But I was like, babe, Preacher is on. When we get there, Preacher will be on. I'll be able to watch it online. So just so you know, I was in Bristol Airport and I was in the duty free. And she's like, "What are you looking for?" I was like, "Whiskey," and I had to buy myself a bottle of Johnny Walker Double Black. And we got there and we had the evening.
Yeah.
She went to bed and the kid went to bed, and I just sat there with my phone. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't care what's on the small screen.
Yeah.
I'm watching Preacher, and I sat there and I was like hammering whiskey watching it. And Donna came in, and I'm teared up, and she's like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "It's just so good. It's so good." Like,
For me, it was just they did it.
yeah,
Because every studio just went,
Oh,
no,
dude, honestly,
no,
Preacher,
no.
Do you know what?
No.
the thing for Preacher, without even getting onto comics, is the adaptation of Preacher has been in development hell, as they say, for years. But do you know the really funny thing about it is Garth Ennis, bless him, has basically just gone, do what you want with it.
Yeah.
He's never been the one who's like, oh
No,
no,
it
you
must
can't.
be
It
this.
must be this.
Yeah.
I remember, I think Seth Rogen, before they got involved in this one, who I don't know who was doing it, but whoever's developing it first, he was like, it's got to be a shot-for-shot remake.
Right.
And the studios were like, I don't know if we can do it, whatever. Garth Ennis was like, dude, do what you want, because the book's done.
Yeah.
it was 1995 up until 2000. So the book's done, and no one can take it away from anyone. And that's the best.
Yeah.
There's a few other graphic novel comic book writers out there that are a little bit,
protective of their material.
Excuse me, sorry. But he's very much like nothing you do can take this book away from anyone. Because a lot of people. How many times you watch Justice League? Oh, they've ruined Batman. I'm like, no, they haven't. The books are still there.
They killed my childhood.
It's like they really didn't, because if you didn't like it but you like the book, reread the book and you'll be like, oh, everything's great again.
Yeah.
So I really like the fact that he was so giving to his audience to say, like, look, someone else is going to take it and do something with it because I'm done with it.
Yeah.
As a story, it's the perfect road movie stroke story. Yeah. It's if you've not seen, because again, it is very true to the series as it is to the book. It's a biblical story.
With some very
an angel and a devil have sex. They make a baby. It's an abomination. It's called Janus.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's held in captivity in heaven because of what an abomination it is. It escapes. It comes to Earth and attaches itself to the soul of a Texas preacher and gives him the power of the word of God, which is, I say, you do.
Yeah.
So whatever he says when he uses this power, he does. And it's a battle between heaven and hell, trying to
weigh him,
get it,
and
to get him on side. But also, the preacher is now. He lost his sort of faith anyway. He was in the worst kind of place. He's also got a very sordid past, which I'm not even going to touch on because
that's for you to explore.
My God. And you know what? At the end of season 2. There's a certain scene of a casket underwater, and I was like, oh, I know where this is going, and it's about to get so fucking good.
Damn.
It's about him then. His mission is, I'm going to find God, and he's going to fucking explain to me what this is and what's going on. He links up with a vampire.
Yes, the vampire is my favourite part.
Cassidy is so good. Yeah. And his ex-girlfriend, who's like an ex-mobster hit girl. And they go on this road trip across America, and it's such...
To find God.
The comic is such a slice of Americana at the
as
time.
Well, yeah. But it's so twisted and dark as well.
Everything that happens is so twisted, but every character is so well done.
Yeah, I never thought I would see ass face on screen.
Oh my God, dude. There's never a dead moment. Ass face, I tell you what, I love the way they brought it up to date, didn't they? Because it was in the comics, he was a Kurt Cobain fan.
Yeah,
and the story was he did everything Kurt Cobain did, so he took heroin because Kurt Cobain did, and he blew his head off with a shotgun. Guess what? And that's the reason he did it. Obviously, in this one,
it was because
of a girl rejecting him,
or he was wasn't he the cause of her death? Or?
Yeah. She. So
he did it.
She rejected him, and then she took her own life, and then she didn't. She fucked the job up. So she, she really started the trend, and then.
But they did tone down a bunch of stuff, I think, as well. I think
they toned down some stuff, but turned the volume up on other stuff.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
But good God, terrible with names. The name of the guy playing preacher.
I can't remember either.
Tony Stark's dad.
Tony Stark's dad. Yeah, is he's so good. The entire cast of that show is great.
For me, I loved Cassidy because I followed the actor from
Misfits?
It was Misfits, of course. Yeah, and when he came in, he stole it. This is England.
Dominic Cooper.
Dominic Cooper.
Cool.
Do you know what? I should have never forgotten that because my little girl's obsessed with the Mamma Mia movie, and he's in that. So I was like, which I'm always like, totally preacher. But yeah, the other character, the Saint of Killers.
Okay.
Who is what it says, but he's released by the angels in heaven to go get the preacher in the story. And he takes the form of, he is the person with the biggest body count of all time, basically, and he's like this old Western, guy. He looks like the fucking Undertaker, man, with a couple of guns on. But he's like, he fought in the Civil Wars and he massacred people, but he, his backstory is he actually sort of like settled down with a wife and child. He lost his child.
And they brought him out of retirement.
Yeah, there was a bunch of there were a bunch of one shots of him as well, which told his whole story, which they really did do amazing justice to in the series, where it's like basically his little girl is sick, and again, like, I'm such an emotional idiot, but I've got a little girl, and when I watched that episode was so hard to watch, but also fantastic, where his little girl's sick, he has to, he can't just pop to the shops. He's got to ride for days to get to this local town. He gets the medicine he needs, but he sees something happen that he thinks is an injustice, and he's like, he kind of rides off and thinks, if I don't do something about it, no one will. He goes back to try and help, and he ends up getting the living shit beat out of him.
Yeah, he realised he got the wrong idea, didn't
exactly, yeah. By the time he gets home, his girl, they die.
The crow's eating it.
And he goes back and just lays waste to the town. So when they bring him back into the real world, he's invincible, and he's got these 2 6-shooters that are like 50 cows.
But the way they did that in the series, where it's like he's reliving his hell over and over.
God, dude,
the way they edited it, and it just sped up and just...
Wow, okay.
It did the whole, like, normal, like, what happened, but then they started doing it in chunks. The main chunks.
Yeah, I need to watch season 2, yeah.
Well, you have to rewatch it, and you really get the, like, this is what he lives through, in this is his hell.
Yeah.
He's in hell, and his hell is reliving that 3-day period over and over, and it is just horrifying.
Yeah.
Love, fantastic book. Recommend it to anyone. If you're a fan of the series, watch it. You know, if you're not, you know, you can. I think you can buy them in. I think it's 6 or 7 nice big hardback volumes.
Yeah, because I've just got the first volume.
Yeah, and they're worth every penny, man. Go on Amazon or your local, go to your brick and mortar and pick them up if you can. You can get them on trade paperback, obviously a little bit cheaper. So, highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'll second that. Even though I've not managed to read it all, I wanted to.
Yeah.
It's cool. Right, I've got 2 left, but I'll try and go through them quick. First is Judge Dredd.
Nice.
Basically, I was reading the Turtle comics from about 3 to about 5 years old, and then my nan went to the newsagents for. She used to come around on a Sunday, and it's like, oh, he likes comics. What's this? This 2000 AD. I'll pick him and that up. It was like in the sell-off books for like cheap comics and magazines.
Yeah.
And yeah, I shouldn't have been reading 2000 AD at about 5 or 6 years old.
Totally.
But I was thinking of a great story. It was like the main first arc I ever read in Judge Dredd comic, and it was The Marshal, which was basically this group of basically the law of the cursed earth. It's basically these guys are running around on horses in these cloaks, had like old sheriff's badge.
Nice.
But then a corrupt judge from Mega City decides to dump waste in the cursed earth, and it poisons their drinking water and kills like most of them off. So he's like, fuck that, I'm going to Mega City and I'm going to take everyone down. And he comes in and he's just like, this comic was graphic. He was just slicing up judges, like beheading like the most crazy,
sticking
blood
them
spatters
on pikes and things,
and like arms being severed off. And like,
I remember I had hundreds and hundreds of 2000 AD issues.
I was like 7 or 8, and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah,
I'm like,
disturbing
I'd have
stuff.
to like read upstairs quietly and like listen out if my mum was coming, because she couldn't know I was reading it.
Yeah.
Are you reading 2000 AD? No, I'm watching porn, I swear.
But
what's worse?
he comes after Judge Dredd in the end, and Dredd kills him. And knowing they're surviving members out in the cursed earth, he's like, fuck it, I'm going to ride out in the cursed earth and I'm going to sort this problem out for good. And yeah, it was just dark. I think it was a Garth Ennis book as well.
Cool.
Garth Ennis. Sean Phillip, Nick Percival art is just so detailed and so...
That was the big thing. That's why I
would have been black and white as well, wouldn't it?
No, this was comic color comic. It's just like 90s color.
Okay. Yeah,
But,
so a lot of the other stories were black and white. It was mostly Dredd and 1 or 2 other stories in colour, and all the rest was black and white.
Yeah.
And the last comic is Strontium Dogs. Now, this was another 2000 AD comic. It was kind of cool. It's based in the UK.
Okay.
Basically, there was a nuclear war, and a lady who survived the nuclear war, and it was like strontium storms coming, and she was pregnant, and she gave birth during one of these storms, and she gave birth to Johnny Alpha, which is like half human, half mutant, and the story sort of goes into like Nazi Germany, sort of the Holocaust. Basically, humans hated the mutants, and it kept coming up with like the final solution where they were just trying to put them in concentration camps, and it was just horrible. Like, I mean, I think he came from Milton Keynes, And it was just like all these names you recognise. It's like, I know these places. But
like Alice in Sunderland.
You're right.
But the mutants were so hated they couldn't get jobs and stuff like that. But one thing they could do is become strontium dogs, which is basically like intergalactic time-travelling bounty hunters.
Awesome.
So, like...
It's like that or work at Woolworths.
Because they had this technology, like, people would commit a crazy crime or robbery, and then they would just jump into the different timeline, and they would go in and freaking track them down, either kill them and then pick up the bounty. And it was just so good. But that's story...
fascinating, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The story I loved the best was, I think it was The Final Solution Part 2. Basically, his dad, he finds out, was like the head of the people trying to get rid of mutants. And they're like, well, the maybe good way to get rid of them is to convince them that through this portal, there's a land, you could live, it'll be your world, we won't persecute you anymore and fuck up your lives. And it's like, great. So they all started travelling through this portal to find out it was the shittiest hell world they sending them to. And it was just horrible. And Johnny Alpha goes in through trying to save them. And it was the first comic I read where the main character died. This was like the end point of the story where...
It's a bad ending.
His main power is his mutant power. So that he looked pretty much human, but he had like mutant eyes, which he could like see through like X-rays and cool stuff like that. And in one of it's the third to last issue,
like the original superpower in it, X-ray specs. Like,
yeah.
But in like I think the third to last issue, he had his eyes ripped out, and quite graphically, like it was the same with like the Judge Dredd sort of artistry
art
It's
style.
just
Yeah, there's blood and there's bits
horrible.
and flakes flying everywhere, and
then he sacrifices himself like in the most bloodiest ways to open a portal to get them back, and it was just so good. And like
that's the good
crushing
stories.
for like a young comic book reader like I was.
yeah, crushed, I'm sure. Yeah. But I mean, that is the power of comic books, is the stories. They are great
something you
stories.
mentioned about in that one as well, where it does the whole like Nazi Germany thing, is that's a theme that's come up in comic books deal with a lot of social. They're never afraid to go certain place, because you can do a graphic novel that's like, look, I'm just going to deal with this issue, like was it Mouse as well, MAUS, where that's all about like Final Solution and like the Holocaust, obviously, which is like a real fucking crazy read and stuff. But I think they've always been pretty fearless in dealing with these types of issues,
Yeah.
which we love.
Yeah, in all the different formats. See, all the superheroes have been placed in those real world events and altered things. Even Wonder Woman was at World War One.
World War One, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you think about like even the recent Marvel shows, Punisher is about PTSD.
Yes, yeah.
Jessica Jones is about rape survival. Luke Cage is about racial, sort of like problems and
differences, and
exactly. It's a really great medium to tell. It's like, I even remember sort of like when I was a kid watching the X-Men cartoon show, because that's the only reason we got out of bed on a Saturday in England.
Yeah. Again, it's another reason,
like,
another introduction.
I've got to watch it, man. You watch that, and it's like by the time you get to the point where they're doing the mutant registration, and you're. You know what I mean? Like, we're growing up as kids, like born in like 1982, 1983 or whatever. It's like, we didn't see a huge, like, we didn't really have a big racial thing, I guess, for us growing up as kids that we really saw.
Yeah.
But I would watch that, and that was where I saw, like, oh, that's what prejudiced people act like.
Yeah.
People that don't like someone for where they come from or because they're different.
Right, yeah.
And that's where it sounds really funny, but that's
why
I picked up my morals.
Yeah, for sure,
like, fucking leave them alone. Like,
right.
What the fuck? Why are they being so mean to them?
For no reason.
Just like
for
us,
no reason.
Exactly. You gotta love that, man,
Yeah, for sure, yeah. So they mean a lot to us, and that's why they've stuck with us, and I think their popularity continues to rise.
Yeah.
But do you think there's still space for more stories from these characters ongoing, with the times changing and
but they'll always
reinterpreting?
They'll always push the reset button.
Yeah, and find a new way to tell the story with new artists and writers.
Yeah, but like, there's always been, like, with Batman, there's always like the Elseworld comics where my favourite artist, Kelly Jones, was like, well, what if Batman lived in sort of vampire age and fuck it,
Yeah.
Batman's going to be turned into a vampire.
So they just released an animated Gotham by Gaslight, didn't
Yeah.
they? They just
Yes,
did that one
yeah,
it
where
takes
he
on
was
Jack
the,
the Ripper.
yeah, Jack the
kind of
Ripper,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh yeah, the ninja one coming up soon as well. Isn't
The
it?
Japanese,
the
Japanese one, yeah, with
Yeah.
the Japanese art style.
I mean, even like I loved Cacophony and Warden and Gyre by
What is
Kevin.
it?
I really liked it.
I do, but it's been, 15 years?
Yeah,
On a
it's-
cliffhanger?
It's great.
Motherfucker.
on an amazing cliffhanger as well.
I know.
Wow.
Like so good that there's a foreword I think by him where he says specifically, do not. I think it's written for Ian. Like, don't Wikipedia this. It's like it's like written like, do not skip to the back panel of this book, and then
Yeah.
when you get through it, there's a finish written by him where he's like, you didn't see that fucking coming if you didn't see it. It's so good.
But like at
Wow.
every Comic-Con for the last 15 years, someone's always like, when are you going to continue? He's like, I'm working on it.
It's
Walt Flanagan's
done when
doing
it's
the
done.
pages, and every year it's like, no, still nothing.
Yeah.
Still
but
nothing.
But that
Wow.
again is like kind of that's taken out of where we are in the storyline, but it harkens back to year one, doesn't it? Because he talks about he made him piss himself, which everyone gives a shit for, which I really like. 'Cause they brought the panels in from the Frank Miller year one story, you know, and that's again another
where he
example.
bursts in on like the crime families, like
Yeah.
say like,
sets off the pyro.
this is my
doesn't
city, I'm fucking Batman. He doesn't come in with an explosion, and in this he's like, well, tell you the truth, I didn't really expect the explosion, and I kind of pissed myself a little. And everyone's like, what the fuck?
he? Yeah. But it was such a good book. It's like there was some really funny moments in it where a super oh god, it's been a while since I read, so I can't remember the names. But this superhero that he just meets, that he's kind of running with, they're like up on a rooftop, and the guy takes his mask off,
Yeah.
and he's like, "What are you doing?" Batman's like, "What the dude? First date? Like, I don't want to know your fucking secret identity. Like, I'm gonna tell you mine. You know,
Save it up,
it's
build
really
it up
funny.
to it.
And the way he starts talking, it is a Kevin Smith book. He starts going
Wow.
on about we should be doing this, man, and doing this, and Batman goes, "Are you a stoner?" I fucking
Wow.
like that. It's a different way of telling it. So I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, maybe they'll run out of ideas of like, look, where do we take the universe?
Yeah.
But again, you push the reset button, you start
Yeah.
again, but you'll never. Someone will be like, dude, I got a great idea for a Superman one shot.
Yeah.
Where, like Injustice,
Yeah.
like, what if he killed Lois? You know,
Yeah. What if he was
The
tricked
what-
by
the-
this? And
Or like,
yeah.
you know,
The
like
what
Red
if
Sun
is-
is like, what if Superman was Russian?
Yeah. What
Yeah.
if he landed here? Well, what if
Yeah.
he landed in China? What, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So
All those possibilities and all those
Exactly.
interpretations.
And like the writers now are the people that were reading the comics when
Yes.
they were a kid, and
so
they,
they
all
know
grew
these
up.
characters.
They all grew up writing their own stories, making their own little like
Yeah.
amateur
Yeah.
comics, and it's like, oh, I've got a story to tell. What if this happened?
Yeah.
And DC are pretty good at like going, go for it.
Yeah, yeah, it seems to be. Yeah, which seems maybe their way forward, actually, is just loads of different single stories. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of this part of the podcast, but we'll be back with
talk,
part
man,
3.
good talk.
Yeah, answering your questions. And welcome back to the third part of the podcast. We're going to be answering your questions.
Wait.
And this is always the favourite part of the podcast, and I have to say, I'm sad that I missed last month's questions, but we've definitely got a great selection of questions for this one. So, without further ado, first question's in from Ava Langren.
Hey.
A lot of people are making recommendations for the adult cast of part 2 of the movie It. For example, I think the actress Amy Addams would be perfect for Beverly. What actors would you recommend for the adult Losers Club? And I have to say, after reading the question, I just went and looked at Amy Adams, and I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
Actually, she would be perfect for the role.
I think I commented on this one actually because I thought after I'd watched I, Tonya, Julianne Nicholson, who played her coach,
Yeah.
she's just got that look. It's about the right age. She's got the look of the freckles and the red hair and everything. I thought, fuck, she'd be really good at it. But yeah, Amy Adams, yeah, you're probably right as well. It's a
It's
good
just
call.
almost, I mean, from the
Yeah.
act, because you're going by the actress, with the young actress to the new ones, you kind of have to try and draw some definition as to where they came from.
Do you know what I'd really like to see as well? Playing, is it Mike? You know, the comedian. Yeah, who was
no,
played by the kid
Mike's
from-
Mike's the
the black kid,
Yeah,
isn't he?
yeah,
Sorry,
the one
no,
who's the librarian in the original, but yeah,
So the comedian character in it, who was played by the kid from Stranger Things. Yeah.
yeah, is Richie.
Richie, thank you. I'd like to see Seth Green.
Dude,
I was just about to say that.
Dude, what did I write?
No,
Seth Green.
because he
I was
played him in the
yeah, I know.
original.
I was like, he's old enough to play his older counterpart.
Yeah.
So Yeah, Seth Green.
It makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'd love
I put Jake Gyllenhaal as Bill. I think Jake Gyllenhaal could lead it. Yeah, great actor. Put
Mike, haven't they rumoured that in this iteration, in the new one, Mike is gonna, as the one who stays in Derry, he's gonna be like a fucking heroin addict or something, isn't he?
They've changed it. They've given it to
problems. Ben, sorry.
Yes,
yeah,
they've swapped Mike and Ben for the new one essentially. For Stan, I've put Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, because he's small, isn't
He's small, yeah.
That works.
For Ben, I've put Jensen Ackles from Supernatural. Yeah. I mean, because he does go through a sort of transformation because he loses the weight.
Doomsday? No, that wasn't him in Smallville. Ignore me. Yeah, I know
yeah, or Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Because
that's interesting because it made enough money that you could get anyone.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So sky's the limit on casting on this one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to think reasonable as well because I was looking at, you've got to be around the same, they've all got to be around the same age, but there's probably going to be needed some makeup here and there to de-age or age or...
So I'm in the mind that you should just put Nick Cage and everything, so he should pay everyone.
He should have been Pennywise.
Or just get Tommy Wiseau, like Back to the Disaster Artist. I think he could pull it off.
Yeah, but you'd have him play...
He said, why is that character's accent changed? He goes, what accent?
I'm from New Orleans. I'm from Maine.
For Mike, if I could have a dream actor, I'd put James Earl Jones in there. There's the old Mike.
But actually, like, wow, you really had a tough time with it, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
But then I thought reasonably, I was like...
Oh, it's all coming together.
How about Terrence Howard?
Yeah.
No?
I don't know. I'm not a fan.
And for Eddie, I have to throw him in there somewhere. Sam Rockwell.
Oh, that's a good shout, man.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many. I mean, people have been chucking around Christian Bale. There's so many different actors people are throwing around. It's going to be a big deal once the actual cast has been confirmed and they go into it because it was such a big deal last year.
When are they filming this?
This year, I guess. Once they get it together, and then it'll be out next year, I guess. So who knows? But I'm gonna stay.
I'm sure the studios are probably kicking them up the ass, like, come on, let's get this moving.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm like the money.
I gotta admit, everything I've heard about the sequel, more about like what they're gonna do with Pennywise. There's apparently because there's apparently the origin bit that was filmed for this one.
Yeah,
that
which
they're now pushing into the new movie.
They're gonna find time to pad it.
Fucking graphic.
Well, not pad it, but there's a lot in there already.
Yeah.
So for them to cover.
With a bike
Plus, they're
ride.
also filming scenes with the kids again.
Yeah.
As well, so it's flashbacks because there's no flash forwards.
I suppose they could start filming that
already. Yeah,
adult cast, couldn't they?
Yes,
really,
because they already got the cast. We'll just get them back. So yeah, there's definitely looking forward to it. Whatever
Put
they
Sam
cast.
Rockwell in everything.
Yes, please.
And Nick Cage.
And Nick Cage. And Woody Harrelson. Next question is from Matthias.
Hey, Matthias.
And he says, are you guys going to do another straw poll on Facebook soon? And when are you going to review Hellraiser Judgment? I checked it out after you guys mentioned it, and after the last one, my expectations were so low. It turns out the new one was actually pretty good.
This is very familiar.
Exactly, I think that's what
I
we
think
said.
it's coming up so much that you should probably put it on the box
Yeah, right.
as a review. My expectations were so bad, this film is good. Gary, off the show.
You forgot to mention the bar, Matthias, the bar.
Yeah.
But a straw poll on Facebook. Me and Ian actually talked about this just the other day, and then we actually decided the outcome of the straw poll. Based on the question we were going to put up, we knew the answer already.
Okay.
So we actually didn't need to. Until we can think of the next question we're going to, then most definitely we will do.
What was the question?
Well, last Halloween we reviewed all the Resident Evils, but I wanted like one just a horror movie because Resident Evil wasn't a horror movie. So
I don't know. It's pretty fucking horrific.
No, it's horrific for lots of other reasons. So I was like, okay, I want to review a horror movie for Halloween. And so we straw polled it way in advance, and I think Pet Sematary was the one that won the vote. There was a lot of other films up there that I thought may have won. I was surprised. I was only partially surprised because for years people were asking us to review Pet Sematary. So putting the straw poll up, we knew it was going to be for the... me and Ian already know what we're doing for Halloween. We like to keep it secret. But for me, it's... I want one extra to go at the end. And so it was like, well, straw poll it. And I threw up all the possible answers for people to vote on. I was like, it's done deal, dude. We already know it's that.
Right.
So if you guys listening at home or have listened to me and Ian enough, you know what's coming at the end of the Halloween run. So stay tuned. But for the answer to the question, so a straw poll eventually. The other question is, are we going to review Hellraiser Judgment soon? By the time this podcast goes up, Ian would have watched it. Not just Wikipedia'd it, but watched it. Now, Ian, every day or every time I've seen Ian since Hellraiser's come out, he's like, you're going to fucking make me watch it, aren't you? You're going to fucking make me watch it. I'm like, Ian, have you watched it creep up the to-do list? It's coming. But I can also say that there is a film that me and Ian are going to review just before that one, just to wind Ian up and crank him up just enough. But the thing is, I'm also going to lose my shit on this one too. And guys, it's a film that me and Ian have already talked about, but not in depth. And it's one we're revisiting.
You can tell us what it is?
Alien.
Yeah, we're doing Alien Covenant, and then we're doing Hellraiser Judgment. So you know these reviews are coming. But you've wanted them, and you're gonna fucking get them.
I wonder if he's told you. Right, you got to make sure he watches Hellraiser because.
But
wait, here's the thing.
Yeah.
When I watched it later like I mentioned, I was hungover, so naturally later on I wanted food. So I drove down to the local supermarket to get some like tasty treats, and I was sat in the car and I phoned Ian.
Yeah.
And he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Dude, I just watched Hellraiser." And he was like, "Well, I'm gonna Wikipedia anyway, so you might as well tell me what happens." And I sat there in the car eating fucking donuts or whatever. Laid out the movie for him.
Yeah.
So don't let him get away with like, I can get the gist of it from Wikipedia and what Andy said. Just make sure he watches it.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we're definitely going to finish the Hellraiser series. Next question is from Matt Midgley.
Hey man.
Fantastic as always, guys. My question for the next podcast is, if you could have a hangover-style Las Vegas weekend with 3 fictional characters, who would you invite? And so first ones that came to my head, I'm going to take Ash from the Evil Dead series. I'm taking Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly.
Nice.
And I'm going to take Geralt of Rivia from the Witcher series. Because, that guy can mix some serious potions.
Oh, okay.
We're going to get all kinds of messed up.
Tilt.
Absolutely. And then you've got Ash, who's just, you need the comedy.
Nice. Who would you take?
I'm thinking about it. Someone very, very rich. Someone that could take us on an adventure.
No, I mean, you're already going to Las Vegas. You're already blowing all the money. Fucking, whatever. It's Las Vegas style, hangover style trip, so it's happening. But it's just like, who you going with? Who do you meet there? To go on a wild bender that you wake up in the morning and go, what the fuck happened?
Fuck. No? You go first. I'm still thinking.
All right. I think I thought of one earlier, but I think I'm going to check. Originally, I was going to say another. It kind of counts as fictional characters. That I'd take Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall.
Nice.
The Outsiders, and I do it. But no, I think what I'd say is if it's fictional characters, I'm going to say I'll take Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Cool.
To get the hook up straight away.
Yeah.
And then I think the third one, I'm going to play it safe, and I'm going to say John Wick.
Wow. Okay.
Because if anything kicks off.
Yeah, that's why I've also got Ash and Malcolm.
And he's going to be able to recommend
they can all handle
really
themselves.
High-end alcohol to me as well, like try this whiskey or bourbon or whatever like that. So,
Nice.
Yeah, Jane Silent Bob and John Wick.
Nice.
See, I'd take probably Alanis Morissette as God. Because she would also come with Alan Rickman.
Oh, yeah.
To translate for her. And
yeah, but he couldn't drink, though.
I know.
He'd be on a bender and he'd be spitting his tequila out all the time.
It'd just be fun, the amount of stories he could tell you.
Oh, totally. He shows his non-dick to everyone,
Oh, party time.
And next question's from DMC Campbell.
Hey, man.
Hi, guys. Question for you all. Are you planning on doing any more future audio commentaries for particular films? I enjoyed listening to the ones you did for the Phantasm sequels. Thanks. And so me and Ian actually talked about this as well, and we were like, well, another Phantasm movie came out last year, Ravager, and we haven't watched it yet, so maybe we should go and watch it and do another commentary track.
I love commentary tracks. I love watching along with movies commentary tracks.
Yeah, I quite often listen to Oliver Harper's commentary tracks on films. Yeah, it's just one of the reasons why I kept buying DVDs and Blu-rays was I wanted the audio commentaries from the actors or the directors. I wanted to know more about the film. That was one of my favourite ways to do it. So yeah, actually recording one, it's kind of planned, but not set in stone for recording commentaries. I'll throw it to you guys. Is there any films that you would love to actually give a commentary with? Join me and Ian on a commentary track.
I don't think you'd want to watch any of the films I would want to watch a commentary on. I'll be just yapping and you'd be like,
Asia
what
Extreme.
the fuck are we watching?
I'd do
Kung Fu
something-
film.
Yeah, right. That'd be good. I don't know. But I'd do something recent with you. Like, I could do Justice League.
Yeah,
I reckon,
yeah.
Which would be, because I've done it on commentary track. Because I mean, I've watched it. I watched it in the cinema, and obviously you see it's online. You can.
Yeah.
I've watched it on home, even though it's only just come out on Blu-ray
I'd say
or
you did a
whatever.
commentary track in the cinema.
Yeah.
In this scene, it's like, shut the fuck up.
No, I think no. There was more of a commentary track of like, what the fuck are they doing here? Like, but there's so many. I'd love to do a commentary track where it's like, okay, look, yeah, here's the fucking blatant problem with this, but then there's so much that again you can go, look, let me talk about this, but it's so fucking good. Yeah, something like that, something recent. From
Yeah,
those.
yeah. And DMC Campbell also extended a question, I believe, from the last podcast, asking me my response to the idea of an off-the-shelf reviews video game. Apparently, Ian answered it in the last one, but once...
Oh, dude, that was great.
Yeah.
He asked about, I don't know if it was DMC Campbell that asked that question originally, I guess, but basically he was talking, the guy who asked it was talking about like how it could be like, you guys in it and like Jeff and me and stuff would be like downloadable characters and stuff. And we thought it'd be great as like, it would be an 8-bit obviously. Sort of like,
yeah.
And we thought it'd be great, you could like, jump over Kevin Spacey's and stuff. And shit like that.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, it's
I
got to
guess-
be set in like Wales with the zombie apocalypse there, where nothing's
The
happening,
Wales
just
level.
to annoy,
Yeah.
just to annoy Ian.
It's just a dud level.
Every now and then you see a window open with an old woman in it, and then it hides again.
I guess the first thing that came to my mind with the answers, because it was just like totally taken by the whole idea of it. And so I just went, how about a Dark Souls RPG, but set in the modern world, where it's like everyday things that are bullshit that stress you out and piss you off, like the alarm clock, just being enemies, standard enemies in the game.
So maybe where the objective is you're constantly trying to interrupt the internet signal so Ian can't get on Wikipedia.
Yes, yeah. Or I'm trying to upload videos past copyright. I don't know. I mean, it's I guess I like your idea. It's the 8-bit style platformer. Yeah. I guess, I mean, it was something that the Angry Video Game Nerd had, I guess, that style. So yeah, I couldn't even fathom it being a video game. That's crazy. Next question is from Will Schwarting.
Hey, Will.
Who is your favourite femme fatale from any movie or game? Keep being awesome, fellas.
Ooh.
So I actually come up with quite a big list. My brain just went like through a whole list. And I'm going to start with Catherine Trammell. I'm going to see if you can guess the film and the actress from the character's name. Sharon Stone, Basic Instinct.
Ah, right on. Yeah, of course.
Cersei Lannister.
Wow, yeah.
The Bride, Kill Bill, Uma Thurman.
That was going to be my answer.
Yeah.
Would be the bride.
Wild Things, Susie Toller and Kelly Van Ryan.
Okay.
Denise Richards
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Neve Campbell, yeah. What else did I have? Oh yeah, the Marquis de Martuel. I can't remember her name. It's Glenn Close from Dangerous Liaisons. I'm sorry with my pronunciations. And from video games, 2 immediately came to mind. Max Payne's
Nina?
Mona.
Mona.
Yes, Mona Sachs.
Yeah.
And of course, but I mean, she does break the rule of femme fatale in the fact that she actually does have feelings towards Max in the end, and ultimately sacrifices herself to save him, which goes against the femme fatale, really. And again, the other one from a video game that jumped to my mind was Ada Wong, who was a femme fatale, but again developed feelings for Leon in the end, even though that never did get resolved.
Not really.
No. So I guess she still does remember. Yeah.
Splat. I would say Glenn Close, is it from Fatal Attraction as well? Michael
Fatal
Douglas?
Attraction, yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Bunny Boiler, the
Yes,
original Bunny
yes. God damn, that film was scary.
And a single white female as well. With
True.
I want to. Is it Rebecca De Mornay?
It could be. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember the Demi Moore one now.
That was with with Michael Douglas as well. Disclosure.
Yeah.
Sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one.
Back to comic books. I'd say like Poison Ivy or Catwoman.
Sure, Catwoman. Yeah.
Massively.
Yeah.
Do you know what I really like Catwoman in outside of the comic books is the Arkham games as well. She was great in the Arkham games. Especially when you got to, like, in Arkham...
you got to play as her as well.
City, I think.
Yeah, with that weird sort of pre-order...
Well, that kind of...
brand new, you can play as Catwoman.
I think it was that kind of, like, the actual mission, the DLC, where it's like, she could either save Batman or walk away, but if you walked away, you just rewound time, and she was like, no, I'm not that big a dick. Saved him anyway? Okay.
I like they gave the player the option to do that, though.
I did it because I thought, is this going to be like Metal Gear 3 where you shoot Revolver Ocelot and destroy the universe?
Yes, yeah.
Batman can't die, you fucking idiot. You just ruined the game.
And the next question's from Mark Nadler.
Hey, Mark.
Will there be a Doug McClure-a-thon in the near future on your channel? Caprona, At the Earth's Core, Warlords of Atlantis. Greetings from Germany. You guys rock. So, you know, I think I've only ever seen one Doug McClure film, and it was The Unforgiven or The Unforgivable, if I remember. I'm trying to remember. But basically, I'd not really seen many of his films, but I'm pretty sure everyone knows the character of Troy McClure on The Simpsons, named after McClure and fellow actor Troy Donahue. And Mike Reese, executive producer of The Simpsons, said that Doug McClure's daughter informed him that Doug was a big fan of The Simpsons, said that while watching an episode, Doug saw the character Troy McClure on the show and said, and they making fun of me. And Doug said he thought that the parody was funny and his daughters would call him Troy McClure behind his back as a joke.
Oh, that's fantastic. What a superstar. Like, have a sense of humour about yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's great, man.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, this guy got married like 4 times, had daughters with different wives. His stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So
he's one of those actors now where it's like, I've probably seen like 10, 20 movies of his, but I couldn't pull you a single one.
Exactly,
really,
yeah. It's one of those.
He worked for so long.
But I can honestly say that it would come out of nowhere if me and Ian all of a sudden decided to do a Doug McClure-a-thon, because I know that Ian's wanted to do a Godzilla-a-thon for a while. But at the moment, me and Ian have Patreon requests taking us up the next 4 months. Or more, and so getting a break from those at one point would be nice, so that we could then do a thon of something.
You're gonna have to start doing Monday to Thursday film reviews, I think.
Well, that's the thing. Me and Ian have said it again. It's like both of us have got other jobs that are preventing us from doing more content, like more commentaries and more Twitch streams and stuff, and so our Patreonage is increasing. We're getting more and more Patreons who are staying Patreons and continuing to donate to us. And since the money's been coming in, we've brought a new PC, new editing software. We've just splashed out on a new camera, new lighting equipment, and we've had talks and we have shook hands on the set change for Off the Shelf Review. So big note here. It's not going to happen immediately, but it will happen suddenly, as in one video will be different to the next, where we're going to try and move off the sofa a little bit and change the set so that it looks a little bit more.
Sweet.
So we're going to be off the sofa and we're going to be on chairs or stools. There's going to be a table. There's going to be a backdrop.
Studio audience.
There's going to be a studio setup.
Nice.
So
I just want a green screen and you two to wear green suits, so it's just your heads floating
talking
in
heads.
whatever
We just put different
background
bodies
you want.
we want on.
Awesome.
I mean, we've discussed all sorts of different setups, and it's like, you know, it's time to use that space. And I mean, to everyone listening, our recording space is the living room space, which for the most part in this house is unused and has been really much unused this whole time.
You do say you're in a shared house, so it's
I'm
not
in a
just
shared
yours.
house, so it's not just mine. It's other people and I have to live with. But I'm just going to do it because I can easily close it away and set it up quick enough for each recording time. But yeah, we're going to try And
It's gonna look like a dodgy porn.
It's probably gonna look weird at first, and I'm probably not gonna like it. I'm gonna be like, oh, we should just have the couch. It was simple then. But we're gonna try and spend your money wisely.
Simpler days.
And then hopefully, once me and Ian have got enough money coming in, with the channel grows, we leave our day jobs behind, and me and Ian work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, on Off the Shelf, and then Doug McClurathons.
Nice.
Next question's from Rene Rodriguez.
Hey
guys, hope everything is groovy for you and your loved ones. My question is, what's a classic film that you've never seen? And do you have plans on ever watching it? Mine is Casablanca. I own it on Blu-ray, but there it is, sealed and collecting dust. There are so many other things to watch that I end up never watching it, but I hope to by the end of this year. I hope. Thanks, guys. The first one that came to my mind was It's a Wonderful Life from 1946.
I've seen it, actually.
I've seen highlights, I've seen clips, and I've seen reviews of it, but I've never actually sat and watched it. But yeah, I was looking at I literally ended up just loading up a Google page, typing in classic films, and I was like, seen it. And there was loads that, by definition of people's terms of classics, it's like The Wizard of Oz, Psycho, Vertigo, Rear Window. There's a lot of Hitchcock, and but yeah, there were so many classics. I was like, yeah, I've seen it. Mary Poppins, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. But it's like, so yeah, I mean, but I think a lot of people's definitions of classics also change.
You're talking about a secret shame, really, isn't it? It's like, when you say classic, I think it's sort of like that kind of movie where you go, I've never seen it.
It's like some people go, I've never seen Star Wars. I've never seen Godfather.
I'm trying to think.
Classics, The Room, like I said earlier. Haven't seen that.
You haven't seen The Room, yeah. Well, I mean, that's a cult film, I guess. A cult classic.
2001 Space Odyssey. I've never seen that.
I was literally about to say the same thing.
I won.
Stanley Kubrick, I was about to say
it's a tough film to get through.
Yeah,
a lot of people
that's
would
why
drift
I've
off.
never put that time aside to do it. It's just, I know it's a big watch.
Eraserhead. Well, I have managed to get all the way through it, but I will lie. In the sitting that I had watching it, I must have been about 19 and just like doing film at the time. And I did cheat and I started to watch the film on fast forward. I know, I'm sacrilegious. I know.
That was my first DVD I bought.
Wow. So maybe I owe myself to go back and watch Eraserhead all over again.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Andy's seen them.
The thing is, I can tell you that the day that I watched Eraserhead, one of the other reasons why I was fast forwarding it was because the next film for me to watch was Clerks for the very first time, and so I just wanted.
So you wanted to get to that.
I wanted to get to Clerks. I should have. If I'd done it the other way around, I don't know. After Clerks, then watching Eraserhead, it would have been. Next question's from Craig Hall.
Hey, Craig.
Well done on last month's podcast, guys. You answered the shag, marry, kill question with applause. And yes, I meant Clemens from Alien 3. The previous shag, marry, kill question involved ladies from the Alien, Terminator and Matrix franchise, so I just wanted to go to the blokes. Anyway, question. What, in your opinion, is the finest training or preparation montage in a movie?
Oh, nice question.
The first, again, I always go with the first thing that came to my mind, and it was Army of Darkness. When he's getting his hand ready and he's training all of the troops ready to fight the army of the dead, and it's just like, yeah. But, if I'm being really honest, only last night I was sat with a friend drinking, and we were just listening to random music songs, and Eye of the Tiger came on.
And instantly got a Rocky.
Eye of the Tiger came on, and so you're watching the montage, and I was just like, damn, I could sit and watch
which one?
All the Rocky movies. Rocky 4. I have to go with Rocky 4. Yeah. Rocky 4's got the best one. That just nailed it. Rocky 4 is montage the movie.
Yeah.
So
because there's two. There's two montages in that movie.
Yeah, the first half of the film and the second half of the film.
But he has one montage after Apollo dies, and it goes back. It replays the first three movies, and then he goes to Russia, and then you get the training montage.
For a montage.
He doubled the
and then the fight montage.
Of course, the fight is a montage.
It's a montage.
Isn't it? Yeah, you're right. Dude.
Oh, of course, they always have the first round is the whole round.
Yeah,
and then every round just montages.
See, I would say because that was going to be my answer, but other than that, it's the prep montage from Commando.
Yes,
Where
yeah.
Arnie's just strapping every weapon in the known universe
To his
hulking
torso.
body.
Yeah.
And then
the
starts
camo.
putting fucking makeup on.
Yes.
And I'm just like, you're all fucked.
Yeah, right.
He's got all the guns. And then has to carry the rocket launcher. Like, well, I'm not leaving this
We
behind.
saw him carry a tree in the beginning of
Exactly.
the film, so it's like...
This ain't no problem. Oh my god, amazing.
I got Hot Rod. Have you ever seen Hot Rod?
we-
Sandberg?
Yeah, Sandberg, right?
Because he gets stressed out and then he runs off to the woods and does flash dance, scene by scene. And it's just amazing until at the end he does a big jump and he falls down a cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's falling and falling and he's falling for ages. And it's funny and then it's like, okay, it stops being funny. And then he falls again and it gets full
And
funny.
then it's funny again, yeah. Yeah.
What Trey Parker film has the montage with the song "Gotta Have a Montage"?
Right there. Team America.
Team America.
That was the other one, yeah.
Even Rocky had a monster.
Exactly. They knew that's where it comes from. Great, yeah. But yeah, those are definitely the best ones.
Great question.
David Allen Evans. Hey guys, you've mentioned your love of the Battlestar Galactica remake in the past, so I'm curious. Do you like the ending? I know a lot hate it, but I love it. And I wonder if that's because I watched all of the show in one go instead of waiting years between seasons. Have either of you guys seen any Battlestar Galactica?
No, not since the original.
You saw the original though?
As in, like, with fucking Dirk Benedict.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only saw
did
all the
you
episodes.
like it? Love it?
Oh man, I can't remember. It's something, I watched it as a kid. I was like, this is kind of like Star Wars.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
well,
But
exactly.
I only caught it sporadically.
Yeah, it
But,
was a
okay.
case of you changed the 4 channels and it was like, well, this looks more interesting
It's
than
like,
every other
this,
thing.
it's
For
this
me-
or Airwolf. Fuck it.
I made my dad VHS tape every single episode of Battlestar
you were
Galactica, and I
dedicated.
watched it again and again and again. And so when the new series of Battlestar Galactica came out, I went, "Hey, Dad, they've remade Battlestar Galactica," and he just went, "Oh, fuck that." And we looked at it and went, "Sci-Fi Channel, yeah, fuck that." 2 years went by, and people went, "Oh, Battlestar Galactica won an award," and I was like, "Really?"
What, a Razzie?
Exactly. It was like, all right, let's look into this. And I looked at the cover work and I was like, it actually looks all right. All right, I'm just gonna take a gamble. I'm just gonna get season 1, and I burnt through it, and I couldn't stop watching. I got into the bath. I poured the bath and kept the laptop on the toilet and I stepped in the bath watching it. Got out of the bath, carried the laptop with me to the bedroom, put it down, carry on watching it.
You're like the
I just
dude in
couldn't stop.
Truman Show who sat there watching it.
I'm cooking dinner. I'm watching Battlestar Galactica. I burnt through it until I was done up until the end of season 2. Ian came round the house at one point while I was watching it. And I was like, Ian, this is the new Battlestar Galactica. You have to shut up and sit down and watch. And that was it. And Ian was just like totally absorbed into it as well.
Totally.
Did he get married?
He went and took
Yeah.
all of the DVDs from my house back to his and watched it to get up to date. We then waited for season 3 to come out. We binged through season 3. We didn't watch it together, but we kept talking about the episodes. We got to season 4 and we were like, what the fuck's going to happen? It's the last season, writer strike. Are they going to continue? What's the story? They did 10 episodes and then they stopped for like a year and a half mid-season. I was like, wow, it's actually what Game of Thrones is feeling right now.
Yeah.
And we waited a year and a half for the final 10 episodes, and we waited until all 10 episodes had aired and had a massive party and watched all 10 episodes in one go. It was me, Jason, who's also been on the channel on some Gaming Fridays, and Ian, and we watched it to the very end, and we laughed and we cried, and it was, for us, the best TV series of all time. No questions asked. And it was unchanging. And, it's only been a couple of shows, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead. They're all up there. But after all those shows have gone away, and then me and Ian sit there and we go, so what is the greatest TV show of all time? We go, Battlestar Galactica. Like, after all the dust settles, that show just is still number one for us. It meant so much to us. It brought us together as friends, more so. Thus, we also play the board game. We keep that show alive.
Yeah, board game. That's what I say, okay.
And
it's like when you are right. He did get married.
I was just going to say, yeah.
If you go on his profile, his picture is me, you, and him at his wedding. I'm in a fucking suit and I look the odd one out because these two fuckers are wearing uniforms.
Me and Ian we splashed out 300 quid each on replica Battlestar Galactica uniforms, which we both still have. And yeah, Ian's wedding was a Battlestar Galactica themed wedding where I was best man speech, and at the end of the best man speech I did the So Say We All, and got everyone in the audience to chant So Say We All 3 times over to celebrate Ian and Linda. So I mean, yeah, that's how much that show kind of meant to us. And
I remember, sometimes if we're going to a Halloween party and he's like, I don't know what to go, I was like,
put your
just
suit
block
on.
out your fucking Battlestar Galactica suit. And he's like, that's not a costume.
Yeah, right.
He's like, that's a uniform. And I was like, all right, cool, all right, be cool, we're good.
So, for my wife's 30th birthday, I put on a big prom. She never had a prom, and yeah, Gary and Ian came in there.
Yeah. Just recently,
was he carrying Gary in, and it was like, love lives.
I have to bring this up because I'd missed it in the last podcast. But the actor who played Doc Coddle in the revamped series Battlestar Galactica passed away.
Yeah.
And so I was like, fuck it, Ian, bring the board game round. I want to play Battlestar Galactica. I've got a friend coming down. Got Nella coming down from Barnsley. We're going to play Battlestar. He's never played it. I'm going to play Doc Coddle because the actor just passed away. I'm going to pay my respects to this character.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we're all sat down. It was like, we're all going to random characters. We'll all get dealt 3 random characters. You pick one of those 3. First game, didn't get him, wasn't even selected, blah, blah, blah. But second game, he's in my selection of characters, along with other ones that I would normally go for. I was like, I said it, I'm going to be it, and I chose Doc Coddle. First round of the game, this is where you secretly find out who's a Cylon or not.
Yeah.
I get my card, you're a human. I'm like, great, of course I'm a human. So I'm going to help the human race. You get halfway through the game, and then another person in the team will probably become a Cylon, or 2 people at this point. I get my card, I'm a human. So I'm like, great, I'm staying a human, I'm going to lead the human race. And I saved the human race as Doc Coddle. And so I was like, beautiful. Fitting. So yeah, I'm going to stop talking about Battlestar Galactica because I could keep talking.
Fuck, no, I love that.
It's like, pure fandom. But
it's not something I'm into, but I love it when people are like excited about something. I love your guys' like fandom for Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, we know another reboot, remake, reimagination, whatever is coming for it, and we're going to embrace that too. We love the idea of the story, in lots of different interpretations, just like we said with the comic books, the reset button. The 12 colonies are going to get nuked again. And the human race are going to fly through space again. But this time, this thing's going to happen instead. And so, something different. So, yeah, I know a lot of people also hated Battlestar Galactica because they didn't like the religious angle that was introduced. Where, spoilers, sorry, I mean, the show's been gone off the air for a long time now. But a certain character in the show turned out to be an angel. And it turned out that God was actually influencing the machines and mankind through some of the events that happen in the show. Whoa. And so a lot of people just went, fuck it. At first it was a military drama.
Yeah.
But from the beginning there were prophets and seers going, the prophet will be led by the person who's dying, etc., etc. But then it all does come to pass, and it's like, so God did actually influence this, and it's like, meh. So it lost a lot of its audience, but it didn't lose any of the drama or the pacing or the action. It just kept getting better.
Sweet.
So, yeah, I can understand the drop-off point. But, stick with it.
Not for
Stay
you.
with it. Yeah. Okay. Next question. Just finished watching... Oh, sorry, Dean Thompson.
Hey, Dean.
Just finished watching Goodfellas and Casino.
Sweet.
Any chance of reviewing them? My favourite dudes. Also, Marty's remake of Cape Fear. And as Ian said to me, they're all on the list. It's a really, really long list. But yeah, I don't think we've reviewed... we've reviewed one Scorsese film so far. After Hours.
Right on.
So yeah, I think we definitely need to get to those. Goodfellas and Casino, I'd love those. Which one would you pick?
This is so fucked up. I swear this happened today, right?
Yeah.
I took my dad shopping. We were in Sainsbury's, and he asked me this question. He said that I was watching Goodfellas, and I instantly wanted to watch Casino afterwards. And we had this conversation. So weird. And he said, like, I think I'd watch Casino.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? And he's like, because he's just like, there's no lull in Casino. It doesn't in Goodfellas, you know, like there's a bit where they go to prison, it drops off a little bit, maybe then he comes out and he's got the drug addiction and everything like that.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Casino, it's just relentless.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
tend to
I
agree
like
with
Joe
him.
Pesci more in Casino, and his ending in
Wow.
that is so much. Left a mark. Yeah, I'd go for me. In the end of the day, I'd go Casino.
I'd
Yeah.
always go Goodfellas. First time I watched both of them, I watched Goodfellas first, and that kind of took away from Casino afterwards. Cause
Okay.
I
did see them in the same
high.
order.
Yeah, I was in such a high from Goodfellas, and then I don't know.
I always tend to find that films that I studied, I kind of distance myself from quite a bit afterwards, and Goodfellas was one of those that I was forced to study.
Like
And
the
so
Matrix
it's-
with me.
It's okay, yeah, and so I kind of then just go, okay, I'm just kind of done with it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't ever want to revisit it. I don't need to.
I cannot watch the original Matrix because of that same reason.
Yeah, you studied
just
the hell out of it. Yeah, all the different interpretations and meanings and
Yeah,
everything else. Yeah,
Again, the religious theme and
yeah. So yeah, they're on the to-do list. Next question's from Jack Hawkins.
Hey, Jack.
Hey guys, if you had creative control over the Alien franchise, where would you take it after the disaster that was Alien Covenant? And I think me and Ian answered this one already, and we just went, just give it to Neil Blomkamp,
Yeah.
please. Just like as was originally intended. The idea was there. The artwork got all of the fans excited that it was going in a direction that we kind of wanted. Not the Prometheus God who created the...
Just give it to the guy with the best fucking idea.
Yeah. Who was going to, and it's something that we're seeing, it's the reboot button. It's going, okay, pretend Alien 3 and Resurrection didn't happen. The same thing Terminator's doing. It's something that's, people were kind of
like,
angry.
no, the only reason
at
that we're fucking here is because of those movies.
Yes.
So do it better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
True,
It's a chance
fucking
to
do
go,
it better.
just like you said, we're bringing John Goodman back to Roseanne.
Yeah.
It's like, let's just go back and tell another story from this point.
Yeah.
And just, but a lot of people just reacted harshly to that. They're like, oh, you can't fucking do that. That's, how can you say Alien 3 and Resurrection don't exist? And I'm like, well, I can just as easily say Alien versus Predator Requiem doesn't fucking exist.
Oh, yeah, I can do that really
It's pretty easy,
Yeah.
actually, to just go with your own headcanon and just have an awesome film.
The thing I would consider an awesome film is not to follow the lore. I mean, the Alien is one of the greatest Hollywood monsters.
Without a doubt, yeah.
I don't need, Covenant, this weird backstory, this weird sort of lore. I don't need that. I just need either a confined space with fucking
Interesting
a death
characters in
machine
a
it.
good environment.
I always
with
say
yeah.
that. Make me give a shit about the people it's hunting down.
Yes, that's the thing. That is
And
why
that
Alien
goes for
and
any
Aliens
horror movie.
works the most because you love
Yeah.
those characters.
Make me give a
You
shit
don't
about
love
the
them in
people
Alien 3
Jason
and
is stalking.
Resurrection. Yes.
You know?
Yeah, that was
Because
the thing.
otherwise, I just don't give a fuck. It's like, just cut them all up, mate. Whatever. Just make it
Yeah.
gory then, if that's what you're going to do.
That's what I felt with the Friday the 13th. They stopped caring about making the kids likable, which they tried so hard in all the early films.
Yeah.
Because
Nightmare on Elm Street, you wanted Nancy to survive.
to survive. Yeah, by the fifth
You
or
know?
sixth one, you were like, "Oh, Freddy, kill
Kill
them all!
this bitch."
Kill them all!"
Oh.
Exactly. Yeah.
No,
and
so
so it's the same.
I think
same
that's what they
thing.
need. It's like you said. I think Neil Blomkamp's got the best idea so far, and has at least the best vision of this is what I want to do with the Alien franchise.
If you have to keep making
If you
more.
have to keep making more.
Now, Alien Isolation did an awesome job of actually attaching itself to the lore of the movies, so much so that Sigourney Weaver seems pretty keen to come back, actually, to Alien with Neil Blomkamp, and she came back to Alien Isolation, recorded voice work, and she loved the idea of Amanda Ripley having encounters with the alien while she was in cryosleep the whole time.
Yeah.
Which is even more nightmare fuel, really.
But
But that did it well.
the two best films, say Aliens, it's the Marines hit down on a planet and there's a fuckload of them.
Yeah.
There isn't this big complex story.
No.
They just fucking visually told that story and
There's a
Fuck,
planet
it
with
was
some colonists.
horrific.
The colonists
Yeah.
have disappeared, and we have to go find out why. Why?
Yeah.
Because there are aliens on it. That's the entirety of that story.
But it's the sets, the visuals, and everything else.
script.
Exactly.
And the
They
script,
made-
the characters.
they made the alien
despite the story.
fucking a force.
Yes.
And geez, you don't want to be there.
Because you build up the Marines as the ultimate badasses that get fucking wiped out upon contact with the alien. It's
yeah, it starts off find out what's going on. These got the best, and then it's
Yeah.
no, survive.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and because it is an ultimate predator, it's, you can see why the games should be. I don't know. The games have been varied in quality, but the AVP games in particular have always been good at capturing some of that, and that's kind of what we want, I guess, in the film. Is just, it sounds like fanfic. But I just want another squad of Marines up against the Xenomorph.
Yeah.
I really want just more aliens.
Yeah, I don't want them to be like, well, what if an facehugger went on this thing and created, or facehugger the Predator? Just, I don't care.
So I don't need an episode of Rick and Morty.
No. Yeah.
Oh man, that should have been the answer to the Hangover question. One of the guys
Rick and Morty, yeah. Rick.
Oh my god.
Yes. Jeez. Yeah, I'm changing that.
But I think it is the thing with with the Alien movies and everything like that. It's kind of like, it's like I say about DC all the time and stuff like that. It's like the source material's there. How fucking hard is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just stop trying so hard.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, next question's from Mark Bachman.
Hey, Mark.
Are you going to give the new Tomb Raider movie a look? Yes.
Next question.
Also, what do you reckon to the idea of a stop-motion Addams Family? The upcoming film so far starring Oscar Isaacs. So yeah,
Give that a look.
I mean, it's
What, like
Addams Family stop-motion.
I'd like it to look like the old 8-bit game.
It's Tim Burton that's doing it.
Oh, I'm out then.
So really,
So it's like marionettes and stuff.
Yeah, it'll look like fucking Frankenweenie.
It's going to
or
be
something
like
that.
Frankenweenie, but
that
but
noise.
feature length. Apparently, he's trying to convince the studio to release it in black and white the way he wants it. But yeah,
Everyone will go see it.
Everyone's going to go and see it.
'Cause it's got Tim Burton on it. I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan of Tim Burton at all. But I still like the original films. And
his earliest career up until a point.
No,
Oh, no, you
I'm
mean
talking about the
Addams
Addams Family.
Addams Family,
films.
okay.
Like those films
Raul
are still
Julia.
fun.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. For
M.
sure.
Bison is fucking Gomez. I'm down
Yeah,
for that.
But it's like I'm happy with those, and like kids of today don't know what the Addams Family.
Yeah,
is.
see,
Kids
that's
two
a
shits.
good point.
Yeah.
Does anyone even give a fuck about the Addams Family?
Like it was definitely from a time, and
I remember watching the original show.
Yeah.
So that when the film came out, I was like,
You
oh,
knew
right,
they
and
were.
I've seen...
Yeah.
That was one of the few, say, black and white TV shows I would watch as a kid.
Kids,
Because
yeah,
you have
'cause
that
you had
kind
the
of
monsters in
mentality
it,
of
really.
like, fucking black and white. But it's like, no, it's about a house
That's got monsters in
I'm
it.
like,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
at the time when
Thing
I
was a hand out of a box, and
Yeah.
then when they did the movie, it was actually running around. That was
yeah, I
Sure,
mean, like
yeah.
you know, as a kid, you had the Addams Family, or you had the Munsters,
Exactly,
or the other
yeah.
channel, just like
Yeah.
But-
Wasn't a big fan of the monsters. though.
no, it was a bit.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'll probably give it a go. It's not on. I'm not going to rush out to see anything more Addams Family related. I'll see what the artwork's like and see what the models are like and see if he's Tim Burton.
You'll make your decision on that trailer probably. won't
Yeah.
you?
Once I see the artwork and just go, is it something that might even just be visually good to look at?
Yeah.
Because the thing is everyone does get tired of Tim Burton because it's always that's Tim Burton, that's
Same
Tim
shit.
Burton, that's Tim Burton,
Yeah.
that's Tim Burton. I mean, look, it was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory that was the death for me. That killed.
That was.
I was like, okay.
That was fucking straight awful.
and also Planet of the Apes. So yeah, I mean, it was a double kill for me when I was like, okay, I'm done
Get
with this.
Christopher Lloyd back to Dunkfest.
Next question is from George Lee.
Hey George.
Hi guys, here's my questions. Favorite horror movie series? For me, it's Evil Dead and Alien. Yeah. Partially Hellraiser. Partially. Child's Play. Nightmare on Elm Street. Friday the 13th.
I would say my favourite is Elm Street.
Final Destination. Saw.
I like Insidious.
Okay.
Guilty
yeah.
pleasure. I've got I actually recently got a chance. I'll be able to watch the last one, number 4, and I'm looking forward to watching that.
Cool. Yeah.
I actually quite like that.
I might go back and catch
For
up
a new-
on them.
for a new
I
horror
never saw the
franchise.
first one.
They tie in together nicely.
Yeah.
Is Insidious the one with the weird like devil?
Yeah,
creep?
Darth Maul's like in the onion.
Yeah.
I watched that film and I was a parent at the time, like just had my first daughter, and there's a scene where the mum is in the hall and she hears the baby monitor, like weird noises coming from it, and I just thought,
Why
Kind
you
of
just
parent
stood there
just-
listening to it?
I'd be
get
like,
your
what the
ass
fuck? Someone's in my
upstairs.
room. I'd go running to my
Yeah.
child. It was no, man.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's what threw me off at the
first
start.
one, the first one I watched the first time, and I was like, "This is quite good." And then there was a point at the end where it took me out of it, and I was like, "Fuck, it just ruined it." But then I rewatched it. I was like, "All right." I was too harsh to judge it, and then started I binge watched all all 3 of them at the time. I was like, do you know what? Actually, these are really good.
Yeah.
I really did enjoy them, and the new one looks very sinister.
Okay, yeah, I might actually give Insidious another go then.
All of them, Elm Street.
Elm Street, number 1.
It's just,
Dude, that movie, my sister showed me that movie when I was so age inappropriate, and I didn't sleep for fucking years.
Yeah.
That was, to me, the scariest thing that I could ever think of was Freddy Krueger.
Exactly, yeah. It's sometimes hard to remember when you were actually scared of Freddy Krueger.
Oh, dude, yeah. But I think that, I think it was the original I watched. And then I stayed at my other sister's house, and she had, like, back in the day when it was a big deal, she had Sky, and there was a series. There was a Nightmare on Elm Street
I'd
series.
seen them all. I taped them. Yeah.
And I remember I was sleeping on her couch, and again, I was like 8 or something.
Freddy's Nightmares.
And I fell asleep watching Sky 1 because wrestling was on. It was very rare that I could watch wrestling then.
Yeah, it was always on at like 2 a.m. or something.
But that advert was fucking... It come up with this thing that said, please stand by, and then Freddy's cuts
gloves
through it.
Yeah.
Boom!
It's like you've just woken up from a nightmare.
dude.
Great.
So, yeah,
Perfect.
But then obviously, growing older and growing a set of balls and watching them when I was about 18, 19. And I was like, man, these are fucking great.
They're just great fun to watch now, even now.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say a series because I can't. Apart from Evil Dead, I can't think of a series that has consistency throughout.
Sure.
I mean,
Agreed.
It's probably Friday the 13th because I watched them the most, and
Okay.
Friday the 13th Part 2 was the first proper slasher horror film I ever watched, and I still love number 2 and 3. But I kind of like 8 and 6. But there's so many bad ones that I just can't watch.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was the one with the body hopping, heart eating.
Number 9.
Number 9, yeah.
I mean, I'd say the series... Is it the documentary series? I think that was... I'd rather watch that than the films.
I actually just watched it. It was hosted by... what's his name?
No,
Robert Englund?
Corey Feldman?
Corey Feldman, yeah. He was in...
Well, he's fucking crazy now.
But yeah, well... Yeah. Wasn't he always
singing recently?
Oh, yeah, I saw the video. Yeah. No.
Have you not watched those documentaries before?
I have watched that documentary.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I recently, just last month,
long.
I watched the whole thing. I watched the whole thing in 2 sittings. I absolutely loved it. It was like 4 hours, 6 hours long.
Quite
4
long,
hours,
6, I think.
But yeah, it was great. I also did the entire Nightmare on Elm Street documentary as well, which was also like 7-8 hours long.
Yeah, man.
That was great.
Is
absolutely
that
great.
like kind of the same sort of thing?
Absolutely the same thing. Interviews with all the writers, directors, actors from all the films, all coming in, sharing their tidbits on
I love Robert Englund's
was,
story about how he got the part when he auditioned for Wes Craven, and he was sat in his car outside, and he opened the ashtray and got some ash and put it under his eyes, and just stared at Wes Craven throughout the entire audition. He said that's how he got the part.
Yeah.
He just stared at him, and he was just like, done.
Yeah. So yeah, highly recommend both those documentaries on those film franchises. Legends. Absolute legends.
I quite like Scream, actually, the Scream franchise. I know it went downhill, but I think it's one of those where being at school and watching, we were that age, so I kind of look at them fondly for that.
It kept following the rules.
It's like
where the second film is actually pretty good for a sequel, and the third one's always shit.
Yeah, the third one was very.
I can only watch 6 seconds from 3, and that's Jane Silent Bob in it. That's the only part I can watch in the third one.
One, yeah, because it goes to Hollywood. Isn't he in it? What's he called? Lance Henriksen. Doesn't he turn up in that one? Isn't he the Hollywood agent?
In what?
I'm trying to remember because they go to Hollywood, don't they?
In Jane Silent Bob Strike Back.
Now it's Wes Craven.
Wes Craven is in it, filming a version of Scream, because Shannon Doherty plays the girl that does it.
Yeah.
He's because in that film,
seriously,
the monkey
is
the killer.
Damn.
What?
Damn.
Audiences love monkeys.
They love monkeys. We love this monkey.
Next part of the question: favorite movie from the George Romero's Dead series?
Dawn of the Dead.
I have to go Day. Dawn used to be, but eventually it became Day. If anyone ever goes, we're going to watch a George Romero film, which of the Dead series, which one do you want to watch? I'll go Day, because it's a shorter running time. It tells the story much quicker. I think there's some more interesting characters. Love Rhodes. Love Frankenstein. Love the zombie makeup. Love the set piece. Love the introduction. Love the music. Actually, the more I rewatch Day, the more fond I've grown over that one. Over Dawn.
What was the name of the zombie? Is it Bob?
Bub.
Yeah. That always threw me out of that film.
Have you seen the recent remake? We talked about it.
I watched the first 4 minutes and I didn't realise how cheap it was.
Yeah,
I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, the trailer fooled me into thinking it.
Yeah.
They were very selective because it looked like it had a budget until you watched the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, wasn't it like it goes into a pram and there's like blood splatters there? No, they go in the subway and blood's like pouring out. Like, what is this dopey nonsense? But I was 12, my 12th birthday, with my money I got. I persuaded my mum to buy me the VHS director's cut of Dawn.
Yes, yeah.
And that was a very special moment.
Yes,
for me.
the helicopter scene. Oh.
I love the music.
Yeah.
Everything about it. Like, the end. Every now and then when I'm at work and I'm keying away, it'll just come in my head.
I mean, it's always tough to pick between Dawn and Day as the best ones. But I mean, for a lot of people, it's still Night of the Living Dead, the classic, the one that defined it. I mean, that made it.
There's no wrong answer of the
there
first
isn't.
three.
There isn't now.
That's another good example. Going back to the last question of another great horror franchise.
Yeah, the Dead trilogy. Yeah. And next part of the question: what do you think of comedy horror films in general? For me, yes and no.
Watch Tucker and Dale.
I was just going to say, Tucker and Dale versus Evil is just that nails it. I mean, it's not really horror. It kind of pretends it's going to be a horror movie for 20 minutes.
It's horror in the point of like it's pretty fucking gory.
Yeah, that's it. It's still gory and it's violent, and then there is a killer in the last sort of 20 minutes of the movie as well. And
Army of Darkness.
Yeah, Army of Darkness, absolutely.
Brain Dead, or
Bad
Dead
Taste.
Alive, as it's called in America. That is just
Shaun of the Dead, Fido.
I love Shaun of the
Dead. Yeah. I mean, it can work. It really can work. It's just there's a fine balance.
I don't think you get. It's either this is great or it's just the same.
Yeah, I remember watching. Is it Zombie Strippers?
It was zombies versus werewolves and zombie strippers versus the apocalypse.
Sharknado.
When they go in going, we know this is bad and we know this is funny, and you're like,
no, it's not
funny
anymore. No. Yeah. Okay, so next question's from Harry Stiglitz.
Hey, Harry.
What's the scariest thing to happen to you in real life? Now, I think I've kind of mentioned this in a previous, in the Halloween one, where I mentioned when I was camping down in the ass end of nowhere, walking back with a flashlight. Yeah, pretty much. And it was like, it's a couple miles back to our campsite because we were staying in the first and last inn. Went down there for food and then a long walk back to the tent. And we were walking back and I got the flashlight and shining it into the woods, and it's just like there's nothing. You can't even see the trees. It's just, it's just blackness. But the light created a separate black shape, separate from the trees that blocked the light. It like consumed the torchlight. And so me and friend, we just kept walking, and after like 10 paces, I turned to go back and go and try and do that again. And like, what the fuck was that? Hairs on my arms raising up. But my friend, she just grabbed my arm, grabbed the torch and went, no. And pulled me forward to keep walking.
You've seen enough horror movies, Gary. You know where this is going.
Exactly. But for me, that was like, fuck, you did see it too then. So yeah, I am going to keep walking because you did see it too. That was a shared horror moment where we were just so glad we never did investigate it. But I don't know if I mentioned this one before, but before I moved house, I was in a room having a model of an alien queen on a shelf above the TV, and one night in particular I was having a recurring nightmare where a black kind of shape haunting type thing had this recurring nightmare for like 6 years or so. And in my nightmare I always move house to try and move away from this entity that keeps following me and torturing me in my dreams. So, just go off on a tangent here about my night terrors. But the Alien Queen model, if it was to fall off the shelf, should have hit the TV and fallen behind it. But it didn't. It hit me in the stomach. So, I mean, that thing literally travelled to hit me and woke me up in the middle of one of those recurring nightmares. And I was, just absolutely terrified. I actually went to go and see somebody to get some help after that. I'm like, I'm not crazy. Like, that thing shouldn't have... And people still think I'm crazy. But anyway, so I'm not going to go too far into my night terrors. But those are some of the scariest things that have ever personally happened to me, so I'm just going to share those.
Scary to me, it was nothing supernatural. It was time I nearly got stabbed.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
I
was
remember.
Walking up to get my wife from work. walking up the hill just below her work, the Britannia.
Yeah.
You know it well. A guy I used to know who was in a year below me in school, this was like a few years after we'd left school, came up to me, said, "You got the time?" And I was like, "No, sorry." And then just pulled a knife. And then, so I said, "Well, what are you going to do?" And he tried to stab me in the shoulder. I had a thick coat on, so it bounced off, and he chased me all the way up the hill. And then he stabbed a middle-aged man right after and killed him.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, and I just went into my wife's work because he didn't follow me in there, and went to her manager and just burst out in tears, like
Jeez.
crazy shock. Just
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's frightening.
Well, I don't think I can top that. Godzilla 2015 was pretty fucking scary to watch.
Damn.
I won't get onto that again. I'll be honest. I'll touch wood. I haven't had anything really that brutally scary happen to me.
Awesome.
Fucking put it this way: I haven't nearly been fucking stabbed. So you know.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, yeah, so we'll move on to the next question from Gaz Hogg.
Although I have stood on Lego barefoot in the dark before, that's pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt. Would the Thing prequel work better if it was more practical like the original? And do you think there could be more stories to tell? I think the prequel probably would have gone down better if they had gone solely practical effects, because it was a huge holdover from the original film. It was like, if we did it this good then, there's no reason that you would need CGI to do it again. And they fully fucking CGI'd that film. You know, they did practical effects and then CGI'd over. They said they were going to CGI to enhance it. They CGI'd over it a lot. And it's disgusting and it's horrible and it suffers for it. Is there room for more Thing stories?
Easily,
yes, but it's like all you're going to keep doing is playing the paranoia game. And that's all you'll keep doing. Is you'll just keep making more paranoia movies. Who's the Thing or not?
But do you think doing that is okay? I think it's okay to revisit that, because what I would rather see if they were doing a new thing was that they followed suit of that kind of claustrophobic paranoia game, rather than just going, and 10 years ago this outbreak happened and now we're dealing with all these like fucking things all over the place and stuff. But do you think that it could have as good an impact in a different setting? Like in an urban setting?
Well, that's the thing, and that's the Thing getting out and mass assimilating. It's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's I don't know.
Let's face it, if you think about the Thing, it's like this thing lands on Earth. Well, thank fuck it crashed where it crashed.
Exactly, yeah.
It was any kind of
if there was a pilot.
If it hit the fucking ocean,
yeah,
you know, or something like that, because you.
But then again, but the thing you got to also remember, it was trapped how long in the ice?
Well, yeah, but
so
yeah. So again, it is that kind of thing. It's like I think ideas-wise, I still think that if you were going to do a thing move, that you should play off of that type of like, here's X amount of people in a place. I just wonder what setting you would be able to put it in.
Well, there was graphic novels of the Thing, and the Thing actually at one point, I believe, got into a host's body and just went, "All right, done assimilating. I'm going to go and get a job. I'm going to go get a relationship. I'm going to get married. And then, oh, fuck it, I'm going to turn to the Thing. Fuck it, I've had enough now, I'm thinking." And so, yeah, it's like it goes into the psychology of a Thing vessel, like one bit of the whatever the Thing is. And so it does try to explore what the creature is, how its offshoots when things get broken off from the Thing, how it becomes its own thing, and how the other thing might not like what the other thing wants, and so there's lots of.
So
it has been explored.
Hive mind, as it were.
It's been explored in lots of different avenues, but not in film form. But there are stories there. But it's like, can they be told in film? I don't know.
Yeah,
sorry, go on.
Thing with these is like, when there is such a seminal film like The Thing, or like with RoboCop and things, when you're going to reboot it or you're going to continue it, unless it's better, it's never going to do well. I would rather they make a new film and be able to put on the advertisement inspired by The Thing. Inspired by RoboCop.
Yeah.
And then it's not tied to the original wholly loved film that it's already going to leave bad taste in so many people's mouths. But
then you got
unless you go to like
idea though.
You've just coined the new Hollywood phrase. Yeah. They're just going to start using that. It's like, oh, it's not a reboot, it's not a remake, it's inspired by. Yeah. That's it.
Well, it starts them off on a easier plane.
Yeah, it's any way to try and stop the raging fans. Yeah.
I mean, in a way as well with the thing is if you do. Can you imagine if, like, we got a movie that came out where it's like you said, here's a version of the thing where it goes off into this body and does this, and hey, here's another version of the thing where it goes off into like this part of a city. You've got Cloverfield all over again, haven't you?
Or that film you reviewed the other week with the guy from Twin Peaks in.
Oh yeah, the hidden.
The hidden.
Yeah. Okay, next question is from Mike Collins.
Hey, Mike.
If you could have a movie creature as a pet, which creature would it be? Now, Ian was sat with me when I had the questions, and I was reading the questions for the first time and then writing down my immediate answer. And this is only because the night before I was watching somebody else's retrospective on a film. And so the first thing that came to my mind was the vomit slug from Poltergeist 2. The tequila worm monster. It just popped in there. I
mean, I would love to say a mogwai, but fuck that.
It's too much hassle, yeah.
I don't know.
Too many rules.
What was that thing in Flight of the Navigator? That little weird creature.
The little thing.
Yeah. He seemed a bit easy.
I have that laughing creature from Star Wars and from Jabba's Palace.
Crumb.
Salacious Crumb, yeah.
What about Pikachu?
Yeah.
Well,
you get chicks with Pikachu, dude.
For sure.
My kids would be happy.
I'm gonna say Pete's Dragon.
Pete's Dragon would be awesome, but he leaves after a while though. Once his job's done.
Nah, he wouldn't.
He's just got to see you to a good family.
Pete didn't have the ability to tag him and put a GPS app on his phone. Elliot's going fucking nowhere, dude.
All right, next question is from Andrea Bizet. Sorry,
hey, Andrea.
Sorry. Yeah. A question for all of you. Favourite snack food?
Ooh.
And for mine...
We could be here a while.
It's a chocolate-covered pretzel, salted. Literally, those were my favourite snack foods. And I think Cadbury's used to do them. They were like 55 pence in like a blue bag. And you got like 8 of them in there. And I would buy them by the pound load.
Would you like a chocolate-covered pretzel?
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's, back to Kevin Smith. But yeah, that is my favourite. And it's hard to come by at the moment. But other than that, it would be peanut M&Ms as my other.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I bought you some, didn't I?
Yes, yeah.
I'm not sure how you pronounce the company name, but it's like the other Haribo brands. Like Mao.
Oh, Mao-Am.
Mao-Am.
Yeah.
They're joysticks. I could sit and eat those forever until I just feel sick.
Oh man, I don't know. That's difficult. I suppose when you say snack, it's like
it's not pizza.
You're talking about you're talking between meal things.
Yes, yeah.
So pizza. No. I don't know. Do you know what? Honestly, we got a chain here, supermarkets called Lidl. They're a German company. I guess they're sort of like a bit more like wholesale kind of place. Like where look, they're cheaper. They are. They're cheaper than a lot of people, but they still carry a lot of brands. You're gonna go and you can buy the. I guess the 25p Coke.
Yes, yeah.
With no label on it, or you can buy Pepsi Max. You still buy it in there, it's just they have a lot of alternatives.
Yeah.
They got a bakery in there, in literally every store, really. And they sell the best donuts.
Nice. When they're still warm.
Yeah, but they're like 20p a donut. Right?
Yeah.
But them with a cup of coffee, and I will literally like dip the donut in the coffee.
Oh, wow.
But they're jam donuts, but they put a decent amount of jam in them, but the pastry's really light and they're not covered in granulated sugar, which I can't stand.
Yeah.
They got a bit of like powdered sugar on them.
Wow.
So,
okay. Yeah. Delicacy.
I want one now, so we need to finish
I know.
up. I'm going to
Little.
That's my go-to snack for one.
Nice. Okay, Sam Varney.
Hey, Sam.
Bringing up the final question, nice and easy for us. John Carpenter or Ridley Scott? Andy?
I suppose like movies and stuff.
Yeah, if you had to pick one, and whichever one, I imagine whichever one you picked, you erased the other one.
Okay, well, I'm fucking out. I've got to think about it now. I could say Carpenter.
Yeah.
You're
going to go with Carpenter.
I'm going with Carpenter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not erasing.
I got more favorite Carpenter films.
Yeah, I know Ian would. It's not even an argument, and for me either, it's not. We're going to fall on John Carpenter.
Yeah.
When you line them both up and compare films, the only big one that you have to look at is The Thing versus Alien.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you go, okay, so now bring in your reinforcements with John Carpenter, it's so easy, You're checking Christine in the Mouth of Madness, Escape from New York, you could Prince of Darkness, you could just keep going. And with Ridley Scott, I'm just like,
it's just like Robin Hood.
Gladiator, no. Robin Hood, no. I don't know. It just Prometheus, no.
Bad, right?
It's which is a shame because there are a lot of great Ridley Scott movies, but they don't capture the fandom, I guess, that someone like Carpenter does. Where
didn't have the trajectory as
because Carpenter, for me, he feels like. After it's said and done, he had more control over his films in terms of writing and directing and doing the music for them and creating the whole feel of the film. Whereas Ridley Scott is really good at painting beautiful films. But the content, he's never written a script.
No.
So he's not that involved. He doesn't write the music for his films, but he can paint you a perfect picture that other people help finish.
It's his interpretation of someone else's work.
Exactly. Whereas I feel like Carpenter is really, it's coming from him too.
He's got a vision that he's actually putting forth.
Yeah. So for me, it comes down pretty easy. The last Carpenter, I don't know whether it was The Ward or there was another one.
How long was that?
It was 2009, I want to say.
Yeah. See, that's what I think with Carpenter. It's like at a point he sort of stopped.
Yeah. It was because his like sort of last three films, like After Vampires and Ghosts of Mars, it just kind of they tanked in the box office.
I thought it was going to be Ghosts of Mars. That's what I was going to say.
No, it was The Ward. He was like a big break, and then he came back and just made a small independent type film.
I recently watched.
I've just had a quick look at which period that is. His last film was The Ward, and then he obviously moved on to focusing on music.
Music again, and re-releasing and
re-recording. Like Fear 3 as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
I recently watched Blade Runner, and I actually quite liked that film. Actually,
it was
quite a surprise.
Compared to what we were anticipating.
But apart from that, I can't name my last favourite Ridley Scott film before that.
No,
not in the last 10 years before.
Not as easily as you can pull a Carpenter one.
Yeah. Do you know what? The only thing I could say is sort of like I remember I enjoyed watching Gladiator because it was when it first came out on when I rented it on video. When it first came out available, is me and my dad, my mum went off to see some family in London, and me and my dad had like a sort of Jolly Boys weekend in. I think I was about 16, 17, got some Chinese food in and watched Gladiator, and I kind of enjoyed it for that reason more.
Yeah.
Now looking back, I enjoy watching Gladiator to see all the fumbling editing.
Yes,
it's just glorious.
Yeah, especially once you've watched all the movie mistakes.
The hydraulics underneath. Yeah. It's like Braveheart. It's like you just watch all the terrible cuts.
Yeah,
yeah.
So that's gonna bring us to the end of this podcast.
Wasn't there another question about how awesome I was?
Oh, there was, but we just don't have time. We've run out of time.
Darn. Well, never mind.
I just want to say thank you everyone for listening. We'll be back next month with another podcast. Of course, film reviews on Thursdays, game reviews on Fridays. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Patreon. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next time.
Adieu.
Peace.